514 Atlanta 946. My name is Justin, and we're looking for some early check-ins for tonight's net. Who else do we have? What's your name?
We got a full house. This is Atlanta 750 WRMR 367. My name is Jeff. Who are you?
I am Blue Ridge 63 WRWM 344. My name is Mike.
And this is WRMR 367 Atlanta 751. My name is Kate.
A full house, but only because the cards are stacked. All right, at this time, let's go ahead and take check-ins from Zello users. Anyone wishing to check in as an early bird check-in using the Zello app, please call Net Control.
Operators are standing by.
Call now.
Call now.
Are we recording?
Control.
Yeah.
Please check in WRTS 814. That's Gainesville 33. Matthew, Pickens, South Carolina. Although I'm in Bloomington, Illinois tonight, but
Oh,
Came on
because
Zello?
he's on Zello.
House.
You may have it. I'm all done with it.
Let's see.
yes.
Mike, Chattanooga 95, WRMS 528. And check me out, guys. I'm still at work. I'll listen again.
Is WRXM 922, Gainesville 58. Jonathan from Oakwood. Check me in.
This is Chattanooga 160, WRVE 372. Currently in Bulls Gap, Tennessee for the evening. Checking in.
What did you say, Bulls Gap?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is CW2, WRJR 959, and CW1, checking in and out off the Watkinsville repeater.
This is WRVR 393, Atlanta 178. Mike and Conyers, check me in, please.
You're doing a great job.
We lost the Zello people, but those were not Zello.
Those were not Zello?
This is,
You're still doing a great job.
I appreciate that.
this is WRYU 411 CW34. Checking in, please.
Good activity from Watkinsville tonight.
Mm-hmm.
This is
That sounds like Zello.
That is.
WQUB 439, Atlanta 780, Houston, Austell. Check me in and out, please, sir. This is 253 WQNV 274, Donald from Blairsville, Georgia. Check me in, check me out, please.
Atlanta.
This is WRER 451, Gainesville 417, William in Oakwood, Georgia. I mean, not Oakwood, I'm in Auburn, Georgia.
Are you
Don't know
sure?
where I am tonight. Have a good evening. Thanks.
We don't have Teddy in the log. He's even got a name tag now.
He's probably standing at the baby gate like, where did you go? Why am I not in the trailer?
You got time to go get him.
Well, he'll run away. If the door's open, he leaves. He's a brat. He likes to go down the street where the other random dogs run, and we don't do that. We stay. He's in a blizzard.
I didn't get that.
He's in a blizzard.
Checking in, checking out.
makes that noise.
All right, I'm going on there. All right, Fort Mountain Station, you are going to have to up your power level or get in a better location. We see that you're coming in from Fort Mountain, but we cannot pull out any audio over the static. So while I have the airwaves here, let me go ahead and acknowledge what we have. We have Atlanta 849, Miss Pamela in Duluth is in with us tonight. I have Gainesville 33, Matthew in Bloomington, Illinois is in with us tonight. I have Chattanooga 95, Mike in Chattanooga is in and out. I have Gainesville 58, Jonathan in Oakwood is in with us tonight. Chattanooga 160, David in Bulls Gap, Tennessee is in with us tonight. CW2, Stephen in Arnoldville, as well as CW1, Miss Eileen, also in Arnoldville, both in and out. Atlanta 178, Michael in Conyers is in with us tonight. And CW34, Aaron in Athens is also in with us tonight. Atlanta 780, Houston in Austell is in and out. Atlanta 253, Donald in Blairsville is in and out. As well as Gainesville 417, William is in with us this evening. He's not sure if he's in Auburn or not, but that's where the log places him, so that's where we're going to leave him. That is what we have for check-ins so far. And we are going to continue taking check-ins from any repeater other than flagship.
What do you mean continue? Weren't those supposed to be Zello check-ins?
Well, they were supposed to be, but
We ended up with a mix.
we got a mixed bag. So we're going to continue with any check-in from any repeater other than flagship. Flagship users, please hold your traffic. Net control standing by.
WRW299, Dallas 37, David about checking in and out tonight.
This is
It is not.
WRXI 755, Case Cove 80, Eric in Rockwood, Tennessee, a.k.a. Rocky, and by relay, my mother, Jenny Wright, Case Cove 82. She'll be in and out tonight. And
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that Candace?
And one Candy. What would it be? Let me in, let me out.
It's nice having help.
He's doing a great job.
Atlanta 725, WRND 615, David in Holly Springs, and checking out.
And that's the Zello user.
Did you have Eric? I thought he was out. In and out.
We
is
call him anyway.
Okay.
Some people I don't give them a choice.
For that.
It's right here.
this is WRQC 679, Atlanta 528. Ronnie in Lyerly, checking in, checking out.
It's the big guy. You better check it.
This is WRKJ 453, Chattanooga 69, checking in, checking out via relay. Chattanooga 70, Jana, checking in and checking out in Las Vegas.
What is Las Vegas?
It's very close to Rossville.
Oh.
Is
'cause-
this
Actually between Rossville and Nevada.
Oh, okay. Because they used to call this Wall Vegas.
RBT 591, Blue Ridge 549, Mike, up around Cherry Log in the cereal bowl. Check me in, please.
He says in the cereal bowl, I picture Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
There's an issue with the check-in button on that one.
With what one?
Drone 313,
Where you're at?
WRMH 246. I'll be checking in and checking out.
That's Jason.
There it is. Yep.
313.
Don't chicken out.
CW33, WRYE 756, Tom and Bogart checking in and checking out.
What was the tack on that?
Go back to the tape.
I missed it.
This is
33.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
KG 711, cage code 70, top of the world, Tennessee. Checking out.
Okay.
WRYJ 582, Gainesville 112 and 113, checking in, checking out. We'll be trying to monitor as the night goes on.
Closing the back gate seemed to help with the bugs.
Yes. In 12 minutes, we have more check-ins than most nets could ever even dream of.
That's a lot of check-ins.
Want to go ahead and acknowledge them while you get a break?
No, let's not do that. All right, let's go ahead and call out the latest round of check-ins. Jeff wants me to acknowledge them, but we'll have to choose different words. We have Dallas 37. David in Bowdoin Junction is in and out. We have Cades Cove 80. Rocky in Rockwood is in with us tonight, as well as Cades Cove 82. Jenny, also in Rockwood, in and out. Cades Cove 81. Candace in Rockwood is in and out. We have microphone stand right in my way. Atlanta 725. David in Canton is in and out. Atlanta 528. Ronnie in Lyerly is in and out. Chattanooga 69. Ronnie in Las Vegas is in and out, as well as Chattanooga 70. Jana, also in Las Vegas. Is that in Nevada?
No, I think that's in Georgia.
Okay, all right. Well, it doesn't matter. They're in and out, so they're going to hang out on the side tonight. We have Blue Ridge 549, Uncle Mike from up around Cherry Log, in the bowl, in the middle of the cereal bowl this evening. Is that cornflakes, or is that oatmeal, or
Cheerios?
Cheerios. Very good. Next we have Rome 313. Jay in Rome is in with us tonight. I've got CW33 Tom in Bogart is in tonight. Cades Cove 70. Dwight in Tallahassee. I just about said that wrong. Oh, I did say it wrong. Tallahassee, Tennessee.
No H.
Is in and out.
Not in Florida.
Gainesville 112. William in Gainesville, in and out. And Gainesville 113. Is that Janine? Did I say that right?
I believe so.
I'm going to go with Janine in Gainesville, in and out. Glad to have all of you listening in tonight. And seems like there should have been a Cades Cove 83 in there. Did we miss that one?
I don't think we heard from them, but let's try and get them in there.
We got the rest of that Cades Cove group in there.
Yeah, we'll get the rest of the family. Might as well.
All right. Well, we had Cades Cove 70. Dwight said he was, I believe, on top of the world.
I did hear
That's
that.
what that community is called.
Okay. All right.
That's really
sweet. That's kind of cool. That's kind of like high atop Mount Waleski.
It's the same, only different.
Exactly the same and entirely different. All right. So with that, we're going to go ahead and continue with check-ins. If you did not hear your name, it's because we didn't hear your check-in. But at this time, we're going to take check-ins from any repeater anywhere, including the flagship repeater. It also includes Zello, if you're able to get in. And, of course, all of the other repeaters throughout the network. Net Control, standing by. If you can get that guy to shut up.
You too.
This is
Control, this is WRZD 924, Blue Ridge 68. Just check me in and out.
This is
Chuck and Mr. Murphy in Dawsonville. Checking in and checking out.
See, Chuck, we don't give him the option. He's okay, got it.
I love Chuck.
Atlanta 637.
Atlanta
WRTW 647. This is David Kennesaw. And if you guys could please check me in and check me out. Have a good one. This is WRTV 762, Gainesville 44. Joe in Cleveland, Georgia, checking in and out. This is
a double.
This is WRXM 345, Gainesville 43, David in Auburn, checking in, checking out.
This is WRPM 847, Chattanooga 162. Check me in, please.
This is WRUF 788, Dallas 49er, Doug in Hiram. Check me in, check me out. Thank you.
This is WRYI 478, Atlanta 551, Shannon in Dawsonville. Check me in and check me out. This is
that David?
That's Dana.
This is WRWK 895, Atlanta 259.
A bunch of geeks.
Dana from Dahlonega. And guys, you can check me in and out, but I'll be listening. Have a great night.
This is Net Control. This is WRA 441. Atlanta 403. Bobby in White County, actually in Cleveland, at the Vortex without the Vertex. I'll be in tonight.
He'll be in tonight.
ATL 667 checking in from Ackworth.
ATL 667.
Thank you.
This is WRXV 688, Atlanta 454, Steve in Lilburn. Check me in, check me out.
This is WRXV 696, Dallas 64. Josh in Dallas, check me in. Thanks.
I love when they stick around.
This is
It's a lady.
WROE 368, Dale in Peachtree Corners. I will be in and out tonight.
Thank you.
That's Atlanta 880.
Thank you, Catherine. There was a new member, and I told him that he needs to check into the net tonight.
This is
So Atlanta 532 and
WRVR 303, Chattanooga 30. Jonathan checking in and out. I'll be
The
monitoring.
double was Atlanta 532, Tom and Flowery Branch.
Okay.
He's always in and out. I want to hear from William. I don't know where he's from.
This is
Dallas 20.
This is WRKT 728, Dallas 20. David checking in. And by way of relay, Dallas 21, Lisa. She is in and out. Good evening, everyone.
I want to hear Dallas 74 because he just got his call sign today.
Was it Gary in Marietta?
Yeah, I think it's Atlanta.
This is Atlanta
WR52 checking in, checking out.
Gary's a lifetime member, isn't he?
Is that Gary Davis?
Yeah.
Oh, I like him.
Atlanta 240
Sure.
WRVS 777. Patrick from Johns Creek. Check me in and check me out.
Oh, he's right near Stone Mountain.
In Duluth.
Johns Creek? That's Duluth?
Well, he comes up as Duluth.
Oh.
Atlanta 519 is Gary.
He's so
Thank
good.
you.
In Marietta.
Julie signed up his membership and I gave him his call sign at Jeep Fest. It was a wonderful day.
You deleted your lookup. Just copy and paste it from the one below it. Like that.
Got it.
How many we at?
52. Well,
it's pretty good.
53.
All right, let's go ahead and acknowledge this round of check-ins. Let me see if I can figure out how to work this thing. There we go. So we had Atlanta 236, Mr. Murphy in Dawsonville is in with us tonight. We had Atlanta 637, David in Kennesaw is in and out. Gainesville 44, Joe in Cleveland in and out. Gainesville 43, David in Auburn in and out. Chattanooga 162, Larry in Chattanooga is in with us this evening. Dallas 49, Doug in Hiram in and out. Atlanta 551, Shannon in Dawsonville is in and out. Atlanta 259, Dana in Dahlonega is monitoring tonight, in and out. Atlanta 403, Bobby at the Vortex is in tonight. Atlanta 667, Anders in Ackworth is in tonight. Atlanta 454, Stephen in Lilburn in and out. Dallas 64, Joshua in Dallas is in tonight. Atlanta 880, Dale in Norcross is in and out. Chattanooga 30, Jonathan in Hickson in and out. Atlanta 532, Thomas, actually that's just Tom, in Flowery Branch is in and out. And we have David 20. We have David 20 in Dallas.
That's not what the D stands for.
Dallas 20, David in Southwest Paulding County is in tonight. And Dallas 21, Lisa in Southwest Paulding County in and out. Atlanta 519, Gary in Marietta in and out. Atlanta 694, Michael in Holly Springs is in and out. And Atlanta 240, Patrick in Duluth in and out. Those are the check-ins we have at this time. It's time for our...
Wait a minute, you missed one.
Wait a minute.
Right before Chuck, you had Blue Ridge 68. Greg in Morganton was in and out.
Oh, I did miss that one completely. Blue Ridge 68, Greg. It's right there in the roster, too. Huh.
We got him, but you didn't call on him. So
That's
I
interesting.
Just wanted to make sure he knew we got him.
All right, well, that's good. Okay, well, then those are the check-ins we have at this time. We're going to take our 5-minute break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. This is WQIR 514. My name is Justin.
This is WRMR 367, Atlanta 751. This is Kate.
This is WRWM 344, Blue Ridge 63. This is Mike.
And Atlanta 750, WRMR 367. My name is Jeff, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. We'll be clear.
evening.
You're looking at me like you expect me to do something here?
The red light is on.
It's your turn.
Oh, it's my turn?
Yeah.
Well, good evening, and welcome to the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net. Tonight we are live from Studio Vanguard, high atop Mount Waleski.
Mm-hmm.
We are linked in with the following repeaters.
White Oak Mountain, Cades Cove, Chattanooga, Fort Mountain, Lookout Mountain, Georgetown, Ottawa, Flagship, Dallas, Noonan, Watkinsville, Rome, Columbus, Jersey, Zebulon, Lula, McDonough, Ocala, Florida, and of course our VoIP service, Zello.
Tonight, our RF coverage encompasses over 176.5 billion square yards.
Wow.
This net takes place every Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. I would like to thank everyone who has made the North Georgia GMRS the most expansive and active GMRS network in the country. Your net control tonight is out of control, but we'll see what happens. This is WQIR 514, Atlanta 946. My name is Justin.
This is WRMR 367, Atlanta 751. My name is Kate.
This is WRWM 344, Blue Ridge 63.
Listen to that radio
My name is
announcer's
Mike.
voice.
In Atlanta 750, WRMR 367. My name is Jeff.
On the net. Oh, I missed a line. No, I'm not. This is right where we're supposed to be. On the net, you can talk about your day's activities, radio equipment, or anything you think we'd like to hear about. This is a family-based network, so we encourage you to get your family involved. Once the floor is open, it is permissible to address other members of the net by their name or their tactical unit number. Your FCC call sign is only required when you sign in and sign out of the net. What are we talking about this week, Jeff?
I believe we're going to talk about Part 90 and Part 95 radios and why they're so important on GMRS.
Why are they in parts?
Not in parts, important.
Okay. All right. So that's a common point of conversation that came up over the weekend was, many people don't understand how Part 90 radios are allowed in GMRS. And there's a lot of confusion over the way the rules are written. And there's a strong implication within the rules that only Part 95 radios are allowed on GMRS. But if you understand the history of GMRS and where radios that were used in GMRS came from, then it's pretty clear that Part 90 radios were and are an important part of GMRS radio. So with that, it is now time for Catch Up with Kate.
Okay, but first I think we need to break.
Yeah, let's reset.
Can you click your mouse on my thingy so I can have control to scroll down? I don't want the mouse, I just want the cursor.
Are you good? Are
Thanks,
you good?
love.
Are you good with that?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, go.
Do it. Oh.
Yeah.
Hi, this is WRMR 367, Atlanta 751. Kate from high atop Mount Waleski, live in Studio Vanguard with this week's Catch Up with Kate, with the latest NGGMRS sauce. GMRS news we can all relish. 5. That's right, 5 is the number of new or upgraded hams from last week's Stone Mountain Ham Fest. Along with the new and upgraded hams at Chattanooga, I'd say NGGMRS has made a pretty big contribution to the amateur radio ranks this year. We are proud to have a significant portion of our membership licensed both in GMRS and in amateur radio. Congratulations to all of the North Georgia GMRS Network members who became hams or upgraded their license. 11. November 11th is the date of the grand opening of the Chat Radio Showroom, located at 4000 7th Avenue in Chattanooga. Food and live music and lunch starting at 11 will be held throughout the day. Go hang out with my friends Jim and Christy at Chat Radio and tell them Kate sent you. continuing with, would you turn that off? That dinging is so annoying. Sorry, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Net control is obnoxious sometimes.
He's out of control.
Oh, my goodness.
If we could just get Jeff to stop texting me.
Okay. Now, continuing with 11. November 11th is the date that the merch pre-orders are closing. Y'all asked for it and you got it. However, I need you to place your pre-orders for knit beanie hats, hooded sweatshirts, performance polo shirts, and the ever-popular rabbit hole short sleeve shirts. Get your orders in by November 11th at the stroke of midnight.
Can I get the rabbit hole in a long sleeve?
Yes, those are in stock. If you order it tonight, I will ship it out to you tomorrow afternoon, and you'll have it Saturday.
Fantastic.
Yes, the long sleeves are in stock. Yes, Jeffrey?
Do they have holes in them?
They do not have holes. These are quality shirts.
Not yet.
Yeah, not by us. These are nice district long sleeve, perfect wear shirts. So yes, you can also display the colors while you are out and about. And I will say it was very cool to see the sea of black shirts displaying the big green marble at the booth at Stone Mountain Fest and bunching up all around Studio Vanguard, which was a hot commodity on Saturday and Sunday. We've made an impression, and this look is getting us noticed. More and more times, you'll be recognized by other radio enthusiasts while wearing our colors. We hope you order yours today. Check out the website. A lot of the stuff is in stock. If you place your order tonight, it will get shipped out tomorrow.
Yeah, even as far away as the Hamcation in Orlando last year, Julie and I had our North Georgia GMRS shirts on, and we were in line for tickets, and someone came up and said, "Hey, I just spoke with Gary yesterday, and can I get a picture with you guys? I want to send this to Gary."
You felt special for a moment.
They wouldn't have known that we were North Georgia GMRS members, but since we had the shirts on, they recognized that and called us out. And there were a couple of other instances all the way down in Orlando, Florida, where we were recognized because of the shirts that we had on.
See
so
that?
And when you're attending events, I think that is a good way to get a little bit of attention.
I agree. Let's take a break. I'm so good at that. Go.
You were on that.
Anything else, Justin, before I continue with the announcements?
You have more announcements?
I do.
What's next?
Okay, so live streams of the net will resume very soon, but for the next couple of weeks, we will be recording the net live as we are currently, and then post the program the next day due to expected bandwidth limitations. Speaking of YouTube...
What does that mean?
It means that up here on top Mount Waleski, our internet streaming just isn't fast enough for us to live stream. Unfortunately, it's so sad.
You would think it'd be plenty fast because it can only go downhill.
I know. I mean, we're all the way up here, but still, we just don't have a really high signal. I apologize. Even with our friend Elon Musk from Starlink, who's providing our internet service here, we just can't swing it.
Well, that is the deal. When we're high atop Mount Waleski, it can only go downhill.
It's just the way it is. So, speaking of YouTube, please do not forget to check out our YouTube channel. Just go on YouTube and search North Georgia GMRS Network. You'll find us. You'll see it. The big, what do you guys call it? The green marble?
Yeah, Uncle Mike from up around Cherry Log calls it the big green marble.
You'll see it. It's there representing the icon for our page. So all of the forums from the Chat Hamfest are on the channel, as well as many episodes from the past. We'll be adding episodes of Miss Julie's tips as we collect them, and soon we will have even more new content to add. We hope to be the go-to source for GMRS tips and information. Be sure to like and subscribe while you're there. If you have any questions or suggestions or some spicy announcements to catch up on, send me a note at kate@NGGMRS.org. We are North Georgia GMRS Network. This is WRMR 367, Atlanta 751. My name is Kate, and now it's time for Julie's tips. Is Julie out there? I wonder what she has for us this week.
I wonder. Let's see if she's there.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. This is
WQIR 514, Atlanta 947. Julie, sitting right here in the Tiki Bar with this week's new user tips and operating procedure segment. This week on the new user tips and operating procedures, we will talk about Part 95 FCC rules. There are many poorly informed sources that would like us to believe only Part 95 radio can be used in GMRS service. However, this is only part of the truth. A lot of the confusion stems from the rule revisions that came about in 2017. Those rule changes were made, in part, to limit the improper use of radios and improper marketing of radios for use in GMRS. The rule also clarified limitations for FRS radios and made clear the 2-watt rule for unlicensed FRS operation. If you hear unlicensed users on GMRS frequencies, they're probably nearby FRS users, so don't panic. Let me break.
Is he the new Dallas member? Okay.
A careful read through the rules will reveal under Part 95.1761, Subpart C, that no GMRS transmitter will be certified for use in the GMRS if it is equipped with a frequency capability not listed in 95.1763, unless such transmitter is also certified for use in another radio service for which the frequency is authorized and for which certification is also required. Did you get that? I'm going to repeat it for you one more time, so listen in. Under Part 95.1761, Subpart C, it says, no GMRS transmitter will be certified for use in the GMRS if it is equipped with a frequency capability not listed in 95.1763, unless such transmitter is also certified for use in another radio service for which the frequency is authorized and for which certification is also required. But don't just take my word for it. I encourage you to research this yourself. The rules are published online, and there are links to the rules from our website. Be informed so that when you encounter someone less informed, you can be confident in your knowledge of the rules. Let me break.
It looks like a lamp.
Wait, what was? Oh, was it that?
The predecessor to GMRS was named Class A Citizens Radio Service when it was commissioned in the 1960s. Sometime later, the UHF 450, 470 megahertz band was reallocated to 25 kilohertz channels, and in the 70s, Class A Citizens band became General Mobile Radio Service, GMRS as we know it today. Since GMRS lives right in the middle of the 450, 470 commercial band, we enjoy the benefit of commercial radios being readily available. But in the 70s, consider what GMRS radio was. Very few Part 95 radios were available. However, Part 90 radios for commercial network, and this is WQIR 514, Atlanta 947. My name is Julie, and I'm clear. Good night, everyone.
Well, thank you for that, Julie. And before you sneak away, we had some, I believe it was packet loss, and we lost a good part of the last portion of your tips. So where you were talking about the predecessor to GMRS radio, and you talked about the Class A Citizens radio service, right after that, and you got into Citizens Band became mobile radio service. Can you pick that up and come back with that again?
as I was saying, sometime later, the UHF 450, 470 megahertz band was reallocated to 25 kilohertz channels. And in the 70s, Class A Citizens Band became General Mobile Radio Service, or GMRS as we know it today. GMRS lives right in the middle of the 450, 470 commercial band. We enjoy the benefits of commercial radios being readily available. But in the 70s, consider what GMRS radio was. Very few Part 95 radios were available. However, Part 90 radios for commercial service were very common. In fact, until recently, there were very few Part 95 radios on the market, and very few repeaters were Part 95. Today, there are many Part 95 options, but Part 90 radios were and are commonly used in GMRS radio service. So I said, have confidence that North Georgia GMRS operates in accordance with all FCC rules and regulations, and we expect our members to do so as well.
Fantastic stuff. All right, so it's my understanding that it was just a localized issue that where we lost your signal. So most everybody heard it the first time around, but thanks for coming back to that and explaining some of the history of GMRS radio. So that's very fascinating stuff, and it's a good place to start the discussion from with regard to the allowability of Part 90 radios on GMRS. There's a long history of an interwoven relationship there. So that's very good stuff. All right. At this time, Jeff, do you have anything?
I don't have anything specifically, but we're going to take some more check-ins, and then we'll kind of...
Let's take some more check-ins, but let's talk a little bit about catch up with Kate's announcement. She had made mention of the fact that we had 5 North Georgia GMRS members that had upgraded or acquired a ham license at Stone Mountain. Do you recall how many there were at Chattanooga?
Chattanooga was
it 4?
I think it was 4.
So that's 9 new or upgraded licenses.
Well, I got the totals right here. We are currently sitting at 948 members with a growth of 400 for year to date. And 367 of those 948 are amateur as well, which that growth was 122 year to date.
Well, that's fantastic. 122 amateur licenses in GMRS this year?
Yes.
So some of those were existing hams and some of those were new hams.
Correct.
But that's still a great number. So I just wanted to take an opportunity, take a moment to talk about the fact that amateur radio is another licensed band, and we definitely encourage folks to, it's the next step down the road. GMRS radio is a great place to get engaged in radio, and there's a lot of things that we can do in GMRS radio, and it's fantastic at getting your family involved in radio. So if you're a ham and you're looking for a way to get your spouse or your children engaged in radio, GMRS is it, because they don't have to pass a test. They don't have to know anything. They're covered under one GMRS license, so you don't have to have separate licenses for everybody like you would in amateur radio. So GMRS is wonderful in the family sense, and that's why we try to focus on a family atmosphere in this radio band. However, we're limited to two-way repeater or simplex operations. There's really not anything else that we can do. There are no digital modes yet. There are no real experimental opportunities other than you can experiment with different antenna configurations and radio configurations on your vehicle or your home. But in terms of real, true experimental amateur radio stations, there's not a whole lot of options here. But in amateur radio, the sky is the limit. Literally, you can use your amateur radio license to communicate over satellites as they pass overhead. You can be engaged in civil activities, service activities
or bounce your signal off the sky and use the atmosphere to help you propagate.
That's true. And so many things. We couldn't even begin to touch on any of it here, because there's just basically what it boils down to. If you have any other hobbies or interests, if you're into horseback riding, you ride ATVs, you like to hike in the woods, you like to build things, you like to boat out on the water, there's a way to incorporate radio into all of those things. It may be APRS for tracking. You can have a model boats, or you can have even boats out on the water, or even your vehicle out in the woods. You can track your position with APRS, and you can send that data any place you want it to go, to family and friends, or you can just track it for informational purposes, for farming and agriculture. Time to break. There's just a million things that you can do in amateur radio. So we like to encourage folks that have their GMRS license, if you're hungry for more radio stuff to do, then pursue your amateur radio license, and then from there you can chase radio to just about any other hobby or interest that you can imagine. And you might even be able to create a new way to use radio, and lots of things that you just can't do in GMRS radio. So this is a great place to start. And for many people, they've been in amateur radio for a long time, but they come here because of the opportunities in family, and because there's so much activity in GMRS today versus activity in amateur radio two-way repeaters.
Well, I still think what is that word?
I have no idea what you're trying to say.
Anyway, I still think the quote holds true that, amateurs try to make contacts, but on GMRS side, we come to make friends. Because it is, for the most part, localized communication. And with amateur, you're talking to people in Australia or the other side of the world if you'd like, but you're never going to sit down with them and have a cup of coffee in most cases. So
that would be rare.
You're going to make all those contacts, but they're not going to be lifelong friends at the end of the day.
That's right. That's right. And so one other thing that I wanted to touch on before we get going here, at the Stone Mountain Ham Fest, we had a wonderful selection of Part 90 radios available. Where was everybody?
Well, not only Part 90 radios, but there was power supplies and duplexers and antennas. There was all kinds of stuff there.
There was a lot of cool stuff at our booth that Gary ended up taking home. So we were a little bit surprised, because in the past we've sold quite a lot of radios and packed up almost nothing at the end of the weekend. And this time we were really, really surprised at how many radios didn't sell. So hopefully that means that you have the radio that you want and that you're in good shape as far as that goes. But this was a fundraising opportunity for North Georgia GMRS. And a lot of these radios have been acquired, at bulk pricing, buying a box full of 10 radios and 6 of them work. And, Gary spent time and effort going through and cleaning these radios up, bench testing them, and making sure that they had good, clean output signals, and then programming them for use on our network. So they were literally plug and play. Take it home, plug it in, hook it up to an antenna, and you're on the air. 2 really nice base radio stations. I believe he still has both.
Yeah, I think they went back to the Hobbit hole.
Yeah. So you'll have to make arrangements and travel to Noonan if you're still interested in something like that. Gary doesn't like to ship things. Too many bad experiences with things getting lost, broken, or just bad experiences with shipping stuff. So he would prefer that you come pick it up. But just bear in mind that that was kind of an opportunity lost, and we wish that we had been able to move more of those radios.
And there's a lot of time and effort that goes in there. I know you rattled off a list of things that goes into each and every radio, but that's not 2 minutes worth of work for each
No.
individual radio.
And the other thing to take in mind is, we spend a lot of money on radios sometimes, and you can spend, $400 or $500 or more if you buy it from Bridgecom on a radio that is strictly a GMRS radio. And these Part 90 radios have a lot of capabilities sometimes, a lot of stuff that you just can't use in GMRS, but depending on which radio it is, you might be able to, and your licensing, you might be able to make use of this radio in more than one way. And all of these radios are a tremendous economic value. These radios are machines that last for decades and are operational for decades. Most of the time, these radios come out of service, not because they don't work anymore, but because the technology has evolved. And now, and like today, virtually every service that's out there is moving into some form of digital communications.
Well, and on the commercial spectrum, they've been forced to narrowband as well.
Right.
So for rules and regulations wise, some of these, municipalities, school buses, those kinds of things have been forced to narrowband. So at that point, they just refleet everything with new radios and switch to digital while they're at it.
Yeah, because some of these digital radios now, you mentioned school buses. These digital radios can also send APRS data, which allows the school system to track the position of that bus continuously as it moves. So if that bus is not where it's supposed to be, or has been in one place for too long, or whatever the case may be, systems can monitor that, and they can generate automated alerts to draw attention, maybe call that bus operator and find out what's going on. So, there's a lot of capability and power in these new radios that we can't use in GMRS. So those older fleet radios come out of service, and they make great Part 90 GMRS radios. Time to break. So with that in mind, I hope that you'll keep that in mind when you're looking for a new radio, or you want to upgrade into a better radio. We've got some great Part 90 radios, power supplies, and other accessories. Do you know if he sold all of his desk mics?
That I don't know. I know he sold almost all of the portables. The portables went pretty good, but that was about all that went pretty good.
And portable radios are great, but if you really want to have a quality station at your home, you need a base radio with a good base style antenna to really get a stable, high quality signal into the repeater. All right. What else do we need to go over?
Well, the open house, I know Kate touched on it for Chattanooga Chat Radio this weekend, but I believe they're serving lunch at noon.
I think it's at 11.
Okay. And what was the address on that?
That was 4000 7th Avenue in Chattanooga.
So for those who didn't get a chance to come see them or any of the North Georgia GMRS members, I know a lot of North Georgia GMRS members, at least from that area, are planning on going and having lunch and hanging out for a little while. And hopefully we can at least support them, if not necessarily buying something this trip, but let's at least support their grand opening.
Yeah, and Chat Radio has been a great partner with North Georgia GMRS in providing radios that we can actually legally, correctly use in the GMRS service. So they understand what a Part 90 radio is and what Part 95 radios are, and they understand the rules, and they'll help to steer you clear of getting into a Part 15 or an amateur radio and then trying to modify that to use in GMRS. That's really not okay.
Well, not even that, but even as far as antennas and coax, I mean, GMRS is a little bit different when it comes to that stuff. A dual band amateur antenna with RG58 is not going to cut it for GMRS.
Yeah, and typically with a dual band antenna, you have an antenna that performs poorly across two bands, rather than if you get a good GMRS tuned antenna, that's what you really want to have. A monoband antenna is going to perform well in GMRS. Basically, the way that dual band antennas work is you have an antenna that's tuned in a band, and then it also resonates in a harmonic, and that's just not the best scenario. So you really want to, for the most part with GMRS radio, you want to find a good monoband antenna for your rig, and that's going to perform the best for you. All right, let me break, and then we'll go to the top of the list.
We didn't take additional check-ins yet.
Oh.
We're too busy rambling on.
All right, so our technical director says that I forgot to take additional check-ins. So with that, we're going to go ahead, before we go to the top of the list, we're going to ask for any Zello check-ins. Anyone wishing to check in using the Voice over IP app known as Zello. Zello users only. This means if you're on a radio, wait. We want to hear from Zello users. Zello users only. Net control standing by. Is that clear, or was that vague
that was
and
good.
confusing?
Yeah. Someone will be confused.
Yeah, well, Atlanta 420 just quit checking in because he can't figure it out. All right.
That was a bell thing.
Columbus. Again.
RF.
Somebody trying on Zello, but then got stepped on.
It's that damn push to talk. All right, we know that there was an attempt on Zello. We saw the repeater light up. I think I even heard of This Is. If you're using the Zello app, there's really no need to pause like we do in RF. Once you get that push to talk, those things are so finicky sometimes. Once you get that push to talk to light up, go ahead and give your whole check-in.
Stand on it. Don't let up.
Yeah, and if there's a double, oftentimes with Zello, if there is a double, we can hear them both. Sometimes they're so close to each other we can't make either one of them out, but sometimes there's just enough of a difference we can hear them both. So if you're on Zello and you're making a check-in, rather than This Is and then pause, and just truck right on through the whole thing.
But
so
that's only for Zello.
Only for Zello, that's right. So we're going to take one more pause for Zello.
This is WRQ G806, Atlanta 557. Please block me in and out.
I think that's the one we were looking for. All right, Ed, we've got you in and out, Atlanta 557. At this time, we're going to continue with check-ins from any repeater other than Flagship. I don't think there'll be very many, so hopefully this will go pretty quick. But to any repeater other than Flagship, please call Net Control. You already checked in, Candace.
Mm-hmm.
I am wanting it in. My relay. In and out.
Oh, 83 by
83
relay.
relay. Okay.
All right.
This is Columbus 40, WQZF 998, John in Phoenix City.
John is one of the oldest members.
What was the time?
40.
40. Sorry. Oldest members?
Oldest members of this network.
One of the original, the OGs.
Was he in and out?
He usually is, but we default to in. If you don't remember or you missed it, and then if we call on them and they're not there, it's not a big deal.
Okay.
All right, let me go ahead and acknowledge this round of check-ins. I didn't expect very many because we had so many in the early check-in. So we're right about where I thought we would be. Cades Cove 83 by way of relay from Rockwood is in and out. Thank you for that check-in, Candace. We've got Bill in the log. And Columbus 40 John from Phoenix City, Alabama is in tonight. John is one of the original members of North Georgia GMRS. I think he's probably got seniority on just about all of us. So glad to have you along tonight, John. And with that, we're going to continue with check-ins from any repeater anywhere. Anyone that would wish to check in to tonight's net, please call Net Control now. Dallas 74. Is he already in, or is that the one that Kate was talking about?
WRZH 857 from Columbus, Georgia. Check in now.
I missed the first part of that.
It was
Just leave a space there for him.
Good evening, Net Control. This is Atlanta 532 WNW488. Tom in Flowery Branch, checking in and checking out. Have a great net, everybody.
This is RZA 432 ATL 658 calling in from Sandy Springs.
This is WROU 359, Gainesville 23. Bob in Auburn, checking in and out, but we'll be monitoring.
We acknowledged him earlier.
I may have skipped him.
Oh.
What a jerk. So your guest from Columbus, we don't have a name.
Okay.
But the call sign's right.
All right. All right. Let me go ahead and acknowledge this last round of check-ins here. We have, I guess I missed this acknowledging this check-in. Gainesville 23, Bob with 1-0 in Auburn is in with us this evening. And then we had Dallas 7-4. William in Dallas is in tonight. We have a guest check-in, WRZH 857. We didn't get your name, but we've got you in here, and just want to let you know you might not be aware. You've got a Roger beep on that radio. If you're able to go in and turn that Roger beep off, that would be great. If not, that's okay too. We'll figure it out at some point along the way. Also, we had Atlanta 658. I'm not sure. He didn't mention his name, so if I say it incorrectly, is it my fault?
Of course it is. It's always your fault.
Okay, so Jeff says that the name is pronounced McKay. Atlanta 658. So we've got you in the log. We'll be calling on you here along the way. At this time, we're going to go ahead and move to the top of the roster, and we'll begin with Atlanta 849. Pamela in Duluth was in and out. I think she said she was going to be listening, but was going to be out of the coverage area. So we're going to go ahead and move on from Pamela to Gainesville 33. Matt in Bloomington, Illinois. Matthew, did you have anything for the net tonight? Do you have any questions or comments about Part 90 radios in GMRS service?
So now we start using the green boxes as we go down the list.
Got it. Check them off as we get to them.
All right, we're going to go ahead and show Gainesville 33 as in and out. I'm assuming he's busy with family and friends in Bloomington, Illinois, or maybe he's there for work. Either way, we're going to move on from Matthew to Chattanooga 95. Mike in Chattanooga is in and out. Thank you, Mike, for checking in tonight. Gainesville 58, Jonathan in Oakwood. Jonathan, did you have any questions or comments about Part 90 radios in GMRS service? Crickets.
Y'all. Just want to let y'all know that the Kenwood that I got from Gary this weekend, awesome handheld. I wish I would have done it a lot sooner. I highly suggest to everybody to, try to, if you can, work with him, meet up with him, and try to get one of those radios. I wish I'd done it a lot sooner, that's for sure.
He got the donated antenna, too, I believe.
Ah.
I'm pretty sure that was Jonathan.
Well, I tell you, that's one of the things that, having used many commercial radios, many Motorola's and Kenwood radios in the past, handheld radios, and then you pick up one of these Part 95 radios, and there's such a massive difference in the weight, the feel, the toughness of the radio. If you drop a Bofang or you drop a TYT radio, man, you really kind of wonder if it's going to come back to life when you turn it back on. And there's a pretty good chance there's going to be pieces missing, chipped off, broken. But, these Kenwood radios, they have such a solid build to them. There's a solid piece of metal behind that plastic that carries the structure of that radio body. And you can tell by the mass of the radio, but they're really rugged and built to work in rugged service applications. And the way that we treat our radios in GMRS service, these radios should last a lifetime. So, and in many cases, they already have.
Yeah, in many cases, they're on their second or third lifetime.
That's right. So great deal on that pickup for that radio there, Jonathan. And I hope that it provides you with many, many years of good quality service. One thing about these old radios, though, is many of them use NiCad batteries. And sometimes you can find a lithium-ion replacement for these older radios. But that is the weak spot for a lot of these older radios, is the battery. So fortunately, you can find these batteries online, and often they're not very expensive. So if you get to the place where the battery life is unsatisfactory, just buy another one and rotate them.
There is something to be noted there. If the radio originally came with a NiCad battery and you swap it out for a lithium-ion, make sure the original charger that you have for the radio is compatible with a lithium-ion battery.
Yeah,
and you don't have a meltdown.
You definitely want to be careful. Most of the lithium-ion batteries will have a battery management chip built within the battery itself. But if for whatever reason the battery you have doesn't have that, and you charge it with the old NiCad style charger, you could end up with an uncomfortably warm battery. So be careful with lithium-ion technology. But it is definitely an improvement over nickel cadmium. All right, with that, we have Chattanooga 160, David in Bulls Gap. David, do you have any comments or questions about Part 90 radios?
Good evening, everybody on the net. The only comment I could say is I've heard a lot of people bought some radios over the weekend, been listening in on Zello while I'm traveling, and a lot of people are starting to sound really good out there. Love my Kenwood. Wouldn't change it for the world. It's a great radio, and those radios that Gary sells come out, and they sound fantastic. So anybody who's got one from Gary, enjoy it. They're very good radios. And if you got a good antenna and good coax, you don't have to run those radios hard. They'll sound really good on medium or low power. So that's all I got. Back to you guys.
All right, good stuff, yes, and there have been a lot of activity on the air this week, and a lot of those radios being put into play. And that's one of the other benefits of buying a radio from Gary is the learning curve. You pretty much just give it power and an antenna and
push the button,
plug a microphone in, or if it's a handheld, just you can walk and talk with it right now.
Some people were doing that. They took them right off the table as soon as they paid for them, and they were already talking to Vanguard right off the rip.
So that's fantastic with those radios being pre-programmed like that. And if you're not quite sure about how your channels, because sometimes when you're, particularly with a portable, it's not always obvious what the channel number on the radio corresponds to in terms of what GMRS is. And it doesn't always match what the chart on the internet says is channel 6 or 16 or 22. That doesn't always match up. So you might, if you have questions about which channels are which on your radio, Gary has a chart that will identify that. Just reach out to Gary and ask him for that. Gary at NGGMRS.org will get you there.
You know, you've been talking and yammering on about Part 90 radios. How do I know if my radio is Part 90?
Doesn't it say so right on it?
Can we trust the sticker?
If it's a B-Tech radio and you drop it on concrete, it'll be at least 90 parts, right?
I don't think that's what that means.
Okay, so, all right, so that's a good question. How do you determine whether a radio is Part 90 or Part 95 or Part 15
or 97?
What is Part 15? What is Part 97?
Well, I mean, my refrigerator says Part 15, but I can't figure out where to put the antenna.
A refrigerator is an antenna.
Well, it says Part 15 right on it.
That's right.
But I don't know where to put a microphone either.
So the Part 15 rules say something along the lines of this device is not supposed to emit interfering signals, and this device is not supposed to complain about interfering signals, but if it does, too bad. Pretty much.
Well, too bad if this device gets complaints from signals, but it's not supposed to cause problems.
Oh, I guarantee you that refrigerator with Part 15 on that has some RF output. Promise you that. When the fan motor comes on, when the compressor's running, when that LED light, when you open a refrigerator door comes, all those things are making noise in the radio spectrum. Now, whether that noise is at a level high enough to truly cause any interference is the question. But I promise you it's making some level of noise. Hopefully that level is quite low.
So the way that we can tell if our radios are Part 90 or Part 95 is by navigating, if you can find it, through the FCC website to the equipment authorization page and typing in the FCC ID number. And there is a video explaining exactly how to do this on our YouTube page. It's about 5 or 10 minutes, not very long, and you can follow along and walk through it with your radio. But the catch with this website is sometimes the FCC puts the hyphen when they enter the data in, and sometimes they don't. So you may type it in exactly like it is on the back of your radio, but when the person entered it in the database, they left the hyphen out. So if you see a hyphen, sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't. So if you come back with 0 search results, you either got to put the hyphen in or take the hyphen out, and then you should get what you're looking for.
There's another word of caution. Should we break?
Yeah, we should.
Oh, we'll break, come right back. There's another word of caution I want to share with regard to searching for FCC part acceptance on your radio. There is a website out there that is a kind of a trick copy of the FCC website. And so if you're trying to search for FCC part acceptance or part number on a radio and the website you go to ends in .io, it's bogus.
Or .com.
Or .com. It's bogus. It will give you information that may not be accurate or truthful, and can be very, very
misleading
and hard to recognize that you're not where you expect to be. So the website you're looking for is an FCC.gov website, and if it has anything other than .gov, then you're not where you need to be.
And again, that video walks you right through it as far as, how to find it very fast and easy on a search engine, and it'll bring you right to it. You punch in the FCC ID number, and then when the search results come up, you click on Display Grant, and that will show you the laboratory test results of all the certifications that radio has, which a Part 90 radio in most cases is going to be Part 15 as well. But so you may see more than one grant on a radio.
And it might be Part 90 and Part 95.
Correct.
So there's a handful of Kenwoods that I've seen that are both. The 880, I know it has both. I don't know if the 880H has both, but I know that the low power 880 has both. And the TKR 850, I believe it is now a Part 95 repeater.
Yes, so that would be that. Those show up as two separate certifications. You click on one grant and it brings up the Part 90 certification, and then you click on the other one, it brings up the Part 95. So any radio may have more than one. You might need to click around, and don't throw your hands up right off the bat and say, "Oh, it's only Part 15," when there's 3 other grants below that one.
Yeah, so definitely pay attention to that, and certainly pay attention to the URL and make sure that it's not a .io or a .com URL, because that page is convincing but bogus.
Yes.
All right, let's break. Where are we at? 178?
The CW2.
CW2.
Next on the list is CW2. Stephen in Arnoldsville is in and out, as well as CW1 Eileen, also in Arnoldsville and in and out. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. And that'll bring us to Atlanta 178. Michael in Conyers. Michael is in with us tonight. Did you have any questions or comments about Part 90 radios?
My comments involve to recently order one of the handsets last weekend. It's my first Kenwood radio. I got a TK8180 from Gary, and I'm very pleased with it. Today was the first day I was able to actually get it on the air, and I got a good signal report out of it. So it indeed was plug and play. I had gone there that day to upgrade my amateur radio license, but also walked away with a really cool radio from Gary and a really nice rack mount power supply. I would have loved to have been able to get more from him, but that was pretty much all I was able to get that day. Maybe at the next Hamfest there will be some more cool gear or something like that, but so far I'm really pleased with the radio, and I'm really questioning why it took me so long to get one.
Well, that's great stuff. Well, the good news is if you save your pennies over the coming days and weeks, at some point you may be able to go visit Atlanta 60 in the land of Hobbit, and some of that equipment might still be there. So definitely keep that in mind. And this equipment is a bargain buy in a lot of cases, because it's used equipment and because it's been purchased sometimes in lot quantities and so on and so forth. But it's also a source of revenue for North Georgia GMRS. So the equipment's not really being given away, but it's being sold at market prices. So you can find a good deal.
Well, especially with all the work that's been put into them before they get sold. It's not like it got taken out of a school bus and put right on eBay. I mean, there's effort and work that goes into these radios before they get sold.
That's right. Yeah. So if the buttons are all gummed up and they're nasty, then that radio might get set aside. And if there's another radio that's burnt up and it won't come on, they may take the face apart and take the buttons off of that radio to put on the one that works. Sometimes it's more than just wipe it off with a cloth and put a code plug in it. Sometimes it's actually opening up the radio and changing some of the parts. Most of the parts are, if the finals are gone, it might not really be a serviceable radio. But if it's cosmetic, it's certainly repairable.
Let's not forget the part that it is definitely a gamble buying a used Part 90 radio off eBay if they're password locked.
Well, that's also a challenge. And oftentimes, if it's password locked, sometimes there's a way around that, and sometimes
there's not.
It's a paperweight. And that can be a pricey paperweight.
So that's the other advantage to getting them from Gary is they're programmed, there's no passwords. It's literally ready to go because somebody's already been down that road to ensure that didn't happen.
Right. All right. And so thanks for that, Michael. Glad to hear that you were able to upgrade your license, and congratulations on that. And I don't recall seeing, Michael, did you come out to Vanguard and say hi?
I did come by the trailer at one point. I didn't see anybody over there. I did get to examine it. It was a really cool looking setup, but unfortunately I wasn't able to come over there and shake any hands that day, no.
Oh, well, that surprises me. I know there were a couple of moments where we had locked it up to go use the restroom or things like that. I took one trip around the boneyard Saturday morning. I think probably I was away for 10 minutes, but I think Chuck was there when I left.
And it was pretty early in the morning. I mean, somebody might have just been having a conversation outside the back door, and he came in the side door.
Could be. So, but sorry we missed you. Would like to have met you and put a face with that name. I've talked to you many times on the air, but next time, hope to see you up there next time. And who knows? Maybe we'll have a GMRS Fest sometime this coming year.
Hey, with all the new amateurs that we have now from these past two events, where do they go to get their call sign in the roster?
Oh, that's a good point. So for those of you who have just acquired an amateur license, we would very much appreciate if you would update your information with North Georgia GMRS so that we can include your amateur credentials in your roster listing. This does a couple of things for us. It helps us to show off how big a support that the GMRS network has from the amateur community. And it also helps us to show off how much of a contribution North Georgia GMRS is making to amateur radio by supporting amateur radio and new licenses. So if you would send an email to Gary at NGGMRS.org and just give him your amateur call sign and ask him to upgrade the roster, that will give us a chance to get that upgrade, that updated information added, and it will recalculate our total percentage of amateur users within the network. Historically, we'd ran right around 50%, but in light of the rapid and recent growth that we've had, that number has fallen down to 38%, but I think we're back up into the
38.7.
38.7? I believe that number is lower than it should be. I think there's a number of people who have become hams that have not reported it. And it's not a requirement. I mean, if there's some reason you don't want to, that's okay. But we'd like to know just so that we can brag about you. So
while you're emailing Gary, there's been a couple questions on Facebook, and I think it's important to announce it, that we are now accepting renewals. You don't have to wait till December. If you'd like to go ahead and renew your membership now, that's perfectly okay, and you can renew now, and it'll carry you over till the end of 2024. So we are in enrollment, and for those listening that are not members yet, if you sign up now, you are covered again till the end of 2024. So you're getting 14 months for the price of 12.
That's a good deal. That's a good deal. So if you're on the fence about becoming a member, and while we're talking about that, there's a lot of folks that don't really understand, that maybe they became a member in May or June, but their membership isn't going to run until May or June. Our memberships are 1 year, calendar year memberships, and all members are up for renewal in January. So even if you just became a member, later in the year, in July, come January, we're going to be looking for your renewal. And if we don't see that, we're going to assume that North Georgia GMRS is just not for you and that you've chosen to move on to other things, and that's okay. But if you do want to remain a member of North Georgia GMRS, please renew before the end of January.
Well, how do I know if I'm before or after the cutoff if I became a member later in the year? Is there a way I could tell without bothering anybody?
Well, really it all boils down to you got to renew in January.
Well, not necessarily. If somebody signed up at Chattanooga Hamfest, they're good till the end of 2024. So all they simply have to do is go to the membership log and find their tactical unit number, and then there's going to be a date in between the region and your TAC number, and that date is when your membership is good through. So if yours says 2023, you are up for renewal at the end of December. If yours says 2024, you're good to keep on trucking all through the year.
There you go. There you go. So in a nutshell, that is where things stand with renewals. So if there is any question, just visit the roster, look yourself up in the roster, and you should have answers to your questions. While you're looking at the roster, double check and see if your ham call is there. And if not, then fire off that email.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
Mike, is yours in there?
I am. I got mine added earlier this year. Yeah.
Well, good deal.
All right. Next on our list is CW34 Aaron in Athens. Aaron, do you have any questions or comments about Part 90 radios?
Yeah, I really appreciate just this whole network. I'm a new member here, and been kind of fumbling through things. I just wanted to, I've been kind of shy actually about getting on the radio, but I did want to put out there that, you know, I did start out with a Baofeng handheld. My wife and I like to bike, and we like to keep in contact with each other. And the Baofeng arrived, 2 radios. One radio worked, one didn't. I tried to send it back, and to send it back to China, it was $200 some. So I just wanted to give a warning out, and I really wanted to make that Hamfest and speak to Gary about getting a Kenwood or something similar of quality, because I didn't really want to rely on the, you know, I don't want to say cheaper, because that's what I use right now.
Yep.
What I'm using currently, and anyways, just I appreciate y'all, and just want to give a shout out to you know, just basically Gary and selling quality equipment. I think it's worth the investment.
Well, Aaron, I have to agree, and I'll tell you, you know, when Julie and I started doing the net 5-6 years ago, that's what we had. We had a BTEC GMRS V1, and Julie ran the net off of a BTEC from the bedroom, because that was the room that was closest on the property to the repeater, and we had a small desk set up. We took logs with a pen and a notepad.
We just talked about this at dinner.
Yeah, and but that's the radio that we had. A lot of people start off with that radio, and that's a great radio to start from because it's inexpensive. If you don't know anything about radio, you don't know anything at all, and you think this might be something that you want to dabble in, then you know you can't go wrong, because for the money that you've spent on that radio, you can drop it in a water puddle, and you know it's not the end of the world. It's a shame, but you know, to have that radio serviced is not really worth it. As you pointed out, you could just go buy another one for $30 and $50, whatever those radios are these days, and be back in the game. That kind of a radio really isn't suitable in terms of net control operations. You know, we definitely need. Let me break. We definitely need a better quality receiver to be able to hear some of the check-ins that are off in the distance and with some noise in them. So with a better radio on the front end, better speakers or headphones to be able to listen to, an HT isn't really suitable for use in net control operations. However, that's where we started, and that's what we learned along the way. So there's nothing wrong with where somebody starts out in the radio hobby or the radio interest, but where we end up at is what matters. And I think that virtually everyone that has put a Kenwood radio in her hand has been happy about the performance of that radio and can tell you the differences between their inexpensive Chinese radio versus that Kenwood.
Well, I mean, the other thing is, too, as you go along with your journey, if you upgrade your radio to a better one, a Kenwood or another Part 90 radio, a lot of folks take those inexpensive starter radios, I'll call them for lack of better terms, and throw them in the glove box. If you're out trail riding or whatever and your friend doesn't have a radio, if he forgets to give it back to you, you're not out a lot of money if he loses it or breaks it on you, and you still got your good radio with you in your truck.
Or if you come across somebody who has an interest, you can just give it to them. Here.
Or leave it on the counter at the Waffle House like you often do.
We have a lot of Waffle House users, members nowadays because of, no, seriously. But I mean, if you have an interest, or somebody who's interested, you can afford to give that radio away with, the hope that maybe at some point they'll upgrade their radio and they'll give it away again. If it lasts that long. What are you laughing at? Apparently I said that out loud. But in any case, Aaron, that's good stuff. Don't be worried about where you started and enjoy the journey. You're going to spend some money on radios along the way, and but I think you'll enjoy what you spend, and I think you'll enjoy the radios that you use along the way. So, you start off with a handheld, you end up with a mobile in your vehicle, you end up with a mobile installed as a base at home, you end up with a
70-foot tower in your yard.
That could happen too. And so I mean it's a little bit here, a little bit there, and the next thing you know, the neighbors think you have some kind of space communications command system going on, but it's all good stuff. All right, Aaron, thank you for all that. We're glad to have you along tonight. We're going to keep moving. We have Atlanta 780 Houston in Austell is in and out tonight, as well as Atlanta 253 Donald in Blairsville. It's good to see you at the Hamfest, Donald. Thanks for stopping in. We have Gainesville 417. William in Auburn is in with us tonight. Is he in? William, are you there? Do you have any comments or questions about Part 90 radios or anything else?
I don't know anything about the radios other than I guess I'm cheap. I bought one of the BTEC 50 watts that cost me now. I don't know how it sounds. I've had some antenna problems, so I ended up taking the Browning radio off my mic car and sticking it on the road. So I hope it sounds okay. But you guys have done good, and that's about all I can say.
Doesn't he usually have a good signal?
Yeah, I'm not sure what's up. Well, William, we're able to make out most of what you said, but you do have a lot of static and noise on top of your signal there. So, but yeah, I understand you started off with a BTEC radio, or you have a BTEC radio. It sounded like he was talking about like maybe the 50-watt radio. Yeah. And Jeff and I were just commenting that it seems like you used to boom in here. So I don't know if maybe you've got an issue with your coax, or if there's something wrong with the antenna, or if there's an issue with the radio. But definitely,
or maybe he's just not home tonight.
Definitely the power is down. Well, that could be too. So, but consider taking a look at that and exploring whether or not there's an issue with your radio. We were able to read you, but it was a tough copy. So thanks for checking in tonight. It was good to hear from you, and hope to hear from you again next week. We have Dallas 37. David in Bowdoin Junction is in and out. I have Cades Cove 80. Rocky in Rockwood, Tennessee is in with us tonight. Rocky, do you have any questions or comments about Part 90 radios?
Hey, thanks, guys, for a great night tonight. This is Kate Covetti. I remember back 25, 30 years ago when I was working for wrecker services and taxi services, cab services in Knoxville. We were on what you would call a community repeater. And Lord, you'd have to listen to 3 or 4 or 5 different companies and try and do your work too with your dispatcher. So I've been sitting here, earlier when we first started the net, I was kind of went online and was reading about the Part 90 radios, the FCC compliance, and found it interesting that fire rescue, law enforcement, EMS, public transit, bus services, a lot of people use 90 and 95 radios. I'm just learning myself about all this, and I appreciate all the comments that I've heard so far. I am having problems receiving tonight. I don't know if it's got to be the weather, because I even went out in my car and it's the same way. So I'm just listening the best I can, and I do have a question that you might can answer regarding 800 trunking bands and the digital that everybody has gone to as far as law enforcement and this and that. Is that also Part 90 radio?
It's still a commercial frequency.
Yeah, Rocky, those would definitely be Part 90 radios. And always remember that 800 numbers are toll-free, but 900 numbers are not. Oh, that's a different topic. Yes, those would be Part 90 commercial radios. But you can't use them in GMRS because they're not in the right band. Oftentimes, some radios can operate in multiple bands. But when you get into an 800 or 900 megahertz radio, that radio is probably so different in its electronics that it's not going to be able to function at 460 megahertz. So I'm not aware of any of those radios that will go down to 460. Those are usually pretty tight in their band. An 800 megahertz radio is going to be 800. The 900 megahertz radios that we use on the railroad are actually 875, but we call them 900.
But those are data anyways, aren't they?
Those are data. Well, they're analog. Those are analog radios. That's analog data. That's like the when you dial up AOL, that screeching noise. That's what that sounds like.
Fax machine.
Yes. So you could put a speaker on those radios and you can hear that data, but it's short little bursts, and it's milliseconds. But that's what it is that same kind of tone. But those are going away. But yeah, Rocky, those are Part 90 radios. They're just not something that we're able to use in GMRS.
Okay, yeah, I was well aware that GMRS is strictly UHF. I know a little bit about VHF and UHF, but just not, what is a Part 90 radio. I mean, if I walk into a store to buy a radio, just by looking at it, I wouldn't know if it was a Part 90 or 95 either. I've been meaning to watch Jeff's series on YouTube. I know he's got one on there of how you can tell. Sorry, Jeff, I just keep forgetting it. But I'm going to go back and look for it and watch it so I can learn a little more about it. But hey, guys, great net. That's all I got. And back to you guys.
Well, that's all right, Rocky, because Jeff has a face that's easy to forget, and in many cases, you're better off if you do. But we do hope that you'll watch the video and that you will like and subscribe. And what would be even cooler is while you're watching the video, if you go down into the comments section and make a comment about the video. The comment shows YouTube engagement. That tells YouTube that this is something that you're not only just passively watching, but you have an interest in its content. And so what that does is that elevates our ranking in searches within YouTube. So right now our ranking is a little bit below the bottom, and we would like to get just, incrementally move upward from there. So would definitely help if as many listeners as we can coerce into doing it would go and watch the video series that we have on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for North Georgia GMRS Network and start plugging away at the playlist there. There's a couple of episodes of... how many episodes of Julie's Tips do we have? Is it just the one now?
No, there's 4 or 5 up there.
There's 4 or 5 up there. So you can watch some of the episodes of Julie's Tips. We'll be adding more of those as we have time to record them. We're going to go back and record some of the good ones. In the last couple of weeks, Julie has done the tips from the Tiki Bar, so we don't have any video on that. But we'll go back and re-record those episodes as well and get them up on the YouTube channel. And then, some of the stuff that Jeff has been doing is up there, and definitely encourage you to go check that out. Well, thank you very much, Rocky. And with that, we're going to keep on moving. Let's see, where am I at? It looks like we have Cades Cove 8-2. Jenny in Rockwood is in and out, as well as Cades Cove 8-1. Candace in Rockwood in and out. And I'm just going to go ahead and say hey to Bill. Candace checked you in by way of relay. Cades Cove 83. Bill in Rockwood in and out. I may end up calling on him again, but that's just because I have a short memory. Atlanta 725. David in Canton is in and out. Atlanta 528. Ronnie in Lyerly is in and out. Chattanooga 69. Ronnie in Las Vegas in and out. Chattanooga 70. Jana in Las Vegas is in and out. And we have BR 549. Uncle Mike from up around Cherry Log is in and out. Nobody wants to talk to us.
Jason will talk to us.
All right. Jason from Rome. Rome 313. Jason, are you there? Do you have any questions about Part 90 radios or any other comments? Jason's not talking to us. All right. Jason may have checked in and out, and we just missed that. And I'm not sure about CW33. We had a bit of a tough copy on CW33 Tom and Bogart. I don't remember why we weren't sure who that was when he first checked in.
I'm pretty sure it was a double.
That's what it was. It was a double. All right. So Tom, do you have any questions or comments about Part 90 radios?
No, I really appreciate the information. It's very informative, and especially about the kind of history behind it or the evolution of how we got to where we're at. Also, it's very informative about the higher quality radios and where they came from and being swapped out of transits and all. But I enjoyed it. Everything is very informative, and I appreciate you guys doing that.
Oh, very good, Tom. I'll tell you, one of the reasons that we wanted to talk about this is, it came up several times as a question while we were at the Stone Mountain Ham Fest. But B, I've encountered, I can't tell you how many times I've encountered people that will say things like, y'all are illegal, right? Your network is illegal. You guys can't be linking repeaters. You can't be doing things that you're doing. You guys are a bunch of lawbreakers. We've heard this at virtually
almost every event,
every ham fest, every event that we go to. And the reality is just different. Okay. We're not breaking any rules. We're not in violation of any FCC rules or any laws. We are 100% in compliance with the rules as they are written. The trouble is that people read the rules and don't understand what they say. Sometimes people misinterpret the rules. Sometimes they assume things that aren't there. But the bottom line is that there's nothing about the FCC rules that says that we can't do the very thing that we do. More importantly, just imagine if we were the biggest GMRS network in the country and we were doing this illegally. I mean, the FCC is not going to have any trouble figuring out where we are, who we are, what we do. They would have shut us down long before we got here. And the fact that they haven't is just what is the word I'm looking for? They're in support of what we do because the FCC is right here in Atlanta. They have offices right here. They have listening stations in this area. And if we were doing something improper or illegal, we would have known about it well before today.
Well, there's been times too that they've reached out in support of trying to help with interference issues as well.
That's true. We have some contact with folks that are a part of the FCC that have expressed an interest in support. If we wanted help from them to sort out a source of interference, and so far we really haven't pursued any of that. We try to handle that ourselves, but we know that they're listening, we know that they're there, and we know that they're engaged in what we do. So have confidence when you encounter people that tell you things like you can't use that radio because it's not a Part 95 radio, or if they tell you things that your network is illegal and you guys are all a bunch of criminals. Have confidence in knowing that the rules don't say that. The rules support what we do, and if you go in and you look at them, the one rule that many people seem to misunderstand is the one about a public switched network. You can't connect a GMRS radio, using a public switched network.
Which was written in the late 70s?
Early, mid-60s, actually.
So at that time would have been a operator stationed switch telephone network.
Telephone network, that's right. A public switched network at that time, when the rule was originally written, would have been a telephone patch, a phone patch. You can't use GMRS radio with a phone patch.
Which we're not.
And that's what that rule means. That rule doesn't say anything about the means of linking that we do use. In fact, that rule does say that you can remote control a station.
Which is exactly what we're doing.
And that is exactly what we're doing. So it's just a matter of digging through the legalese, the FCC mumbo jumbo way of writing rules, and it's just as important what they don't say as it is what they do say. So have confidence when you encounter the public and they say things to challenge what we do or who we are or what we're all about, and that we are North Georgia GMRS Network, and we are the biggest GMRS network in the country, and that means things, and that carries some weight, and we hope to use that weight to influence changes within the FCC and maybe form a direction of how things will progress in the future. So that's really what this net is all about, is not just that we want to inform Tom, we don't just want to inform you, but we want you to be informed with confidence so that when you encounter people out in the public, you can explain to them that, hey, no, we're not an illegal operation. Part 90 radios are legal. You just have to understand the rules. And you'd be surprised at how many people don't understand the rules. So hopefully this will help you and everybody else that's listening tonight. Did you have any other questions, Tom?
No, sir, no more questions. I appreciate what you guys are doing. Very informative.
Very good. Well, thank you for hanging out with us this evening, and look forward to talking with you again. Next on the list, we have Cades Cove 70. Dwight in Tallahassee is in and out. We have Gainesville 112. William in Gainesville, in and out. We have Gainesville 113. Janine, also in Gainesville, in and out. We have Blue Ridge 68. Greg in Morganton is in and out. And we have Atlanta 236. Mr. Murphy in Dawsonville is in with us this evening. Chuck, did you have any questions or comments about Part 90 radios?
He said in and out, but I don't care.
Well, good evening, guys. How's everybody doing? I can see you got Mike out there. Awesome. Kate and Julie. Well, I picked up a radio from Gary. Got me an NX 800K. Love it. Love it. That adds to the 3 others already had. But, nope, that's good. Have a great night. Be watching out for the deer on the way home.
Yes. There's all manner of wildlife high atop Mount Waleski. Domestic animals, wild animals, domestic animals gone wild, wild animals partying in the street.
Sometimes people sleeping in the street.
Sometimes people, yeah. So every drive to the Mount of Waleski is an interesting drive. Is that why you moved here?
I mean, sometimes I feel like driving home is like the Forrest Gump scene. You never know what you're going to get driving home.
Mount Waleski is like a box of chocolates. Very good. All right, Chuck. Well, did you have anything else for the net before we go?
No, sir. No, sir. But Mr. Murphy doesn't seem to be around now, but he does lurk in the dark. Maybe he's making his way around somebody else's house tonight, I hope. But anyway, no, good job there, guys. Keep it up. We'll talk soon.
All right, Chuck. Well, Chuck won't say anything, but I'll toot his horn for him. He was one that passed the 2 amateur tests in one sitting at the Chattanooga Hamfest.
He had to take it twice?
No, he took 2 different tests. He passed the technician and then went on to pass his general.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So now he's learning all new things about digital modes, and we're really blowing his mind. He kept using the analogy about teaching old dogs new tricks, but he's learning.
Real very good stuff. And you know, it's one of the things I've often encouraged. If you're going to take the technician test, definitely go ahead and accept that opportunity to take the general once you pass the technician, even if you're not prepared for it. I wasn't prepared when I took my test, and I missed becoming a general by one question. I hadn't studied the general material even one little bit. Had I known, I would have given it some effort, but I didn't know that was coming, and so I try to encourage people to capitalize on that, and definitely take the general once you pass the technician. And if you pass the general, you should. Did Chuck take his extra?
He ran out of time in the testing session.
Oh my golly.
Let's not go there.
All right.
When are you taking your general?
I need to get on that. I've been putting it off, trying to handle some other projects, but you're right. I got to get on
You
it.
need to do that. I'm holding you to it.
I know.
All right, moving on down the list, we have Atlanta 637. Dave in Kennesaw was in and out. Gainesville 44. Joe in Cleveland is also in and out. Gainesville 43. David in Auburn in and out. Which brings me to Chattanooga. Thanks for that. Which brings me to Chattanooga 162. Larry in Chattanooga was in with us. Larry, do you have any questions or comments with regard to Part 90 radios or anything else radio related?
This is Chattanooga 162. Sir, I'm
I'm pretty much on the rules. I've read it about 6 times before I got it figured out. My question is it possible to look at, to see, or maybe purchase one of those radios other than going to a ham fair?
What was his question?
Something about something about a ham fest.
Larry, you washed out on me a little bit just right there at the end. You said, is it possible or something, and then something about Hamfest. I missed the middle part of your question.
Okay, let me try it again. I don't think I'm in a very good location. Can we purchase those radios that Gary has somewhere other than going to a ham fest?
Other than Hamfest, you're going to have to make arrangements to meet up with Gary face-to-face at either another event or maybe catch him in travels to a tower site of something like that. We've just had a lot of bad experiences with shipping radios, between them getting lost and damaged and all those kinds of things. As far as mail, UPS, FedEx, it doesn't matter. They all have their own fair share of issues, but we've just had so many problems shipping radios, it's just not worth the trouble and the aggravation anymore. So we like to keep the radio sales as a face-to-face thing. And like I said, if you can catch him in his travels to or from a repeater site, and then obviously the Ham Fest season is almost over. We got a couple of events for Winter Field Day coming up in January and February, and then there's another Ham Fest in the late winter, early spring-ish, February, March, which would be Dalton. So there's events coming up, and I believe he plans on attending the Chat Radio Open House this weekend as well. So if you shoot him an email, maybe you can catch him in his travels or catch him at the next event. I'm sure there's opportunities out there just so that he doesn't have to ship them.
What about the GMRS Fest?
That's your baby. You made that mess. You can clean it up. Did you have anything else, Larry? That's about the best answer I can give you at this point in the season. We're kind of running out of events for this time of year with the holidays coming up.
That was a great answer, and it answered my question well. I may shoot him an email and see what he's got available, and see if we can connect sometime in the near future. Thank you very much. Great net, guys. Chattanooga 162 will be clear and listening.
All right, Larry. Yeah, he is in the Chattanooga area quite frequently between, repeater maintenance and those kinds of things. And, I mean, he'll be up there sooner or later. So if you shoot him an email, that's probably your best bet, and see what he comes up with as far as his time frame for when he'll be available, and you guys can work something out. Next, I have a few in and outs. I have Dallas 49, Douglas and Hiram. I have Atlanta 551, Shannon and Dawsonville. And then I have Atlanta 259, Dana Monitoring in Dahlonega, which brings me to Atlanta 403, Bobby at the Vortex, but not on a Vertex. Bobby, what do you have for us with regard to Part 90 and 95 radios?
Well, good evening, folks. I run all ICOM, so I know I'm Part 90, and yeah, I'm good with that. Everything I got's Part 90, runs good, no problems, and even Joe's got one in his Jeep now, one of my ICOMs, so I'm good to go when it comes to that.
Well, Bobby, I'm going to pick on you just a little bit, because with the big name radio manufacturers like ICOM and Kenwood and Yaesu, the big three, so to speak, they do make radios for both sides of the fence. They do make amateur-only radios, and they do make Part 90 radios. So if you're not exactly sure which model you should be after, should ask around, get on the Facebook group, get on the radio, something of that nature before you buy a radio that you shouldn't be using on the network, or maybe can't be used on the network physically. It won't transmit. Some of the radios are locked out past 450.
Well, I think a good rule of thumb is if the radio has to be modified in any way from its factory delivery, it's probably not suitable for use on GMRS.
Yeah. I know with Kenwood specifically, the TK series, K as in Kelly, are typically Part 90 compliant, whereas the TM series, M as in Mary, are usually amateur-only radios. But I don't know if there's any tricks of the trade like that with ICOM. Maybe Bobby has a trick.
Yeah, there's little tricks like that too, but most of the F series, like Foxtrot series, you'll find that they're all commercial banded radios and they're all Part 90. So, but yeah, I know what you're saying. There are a lot of them that are amateur only, but you know, I do my research on all my ICOMs, so, and I'm a big ICOM head, so I follow what I does pretty well, so. But yeah, if you get a hold of a, you know,
only monitor
6021 or anything in the F60 series, you're good to go with ICOM on that. They're commercial grade radios.
Well, speaking of amateur-only radios, did you get your license yet? I know you passed the general twice. I think you're the only one in our group who had to take the test twice and passed it both times, but you still had to take it twice. But did you get your license yet and get that all sorted out?
Yes, finally today, me and Joe both got our, I don't know what you want to call it, FCC billing. So we paid for that, so by tomorrow, I should have my numbers. Finally.
Well, good. I'm glad the paperwork issues got resolved, and I guess if they're taking your money, they're getting ready to issue your license. So that means that all went through properly. So, good deal. I know there was you and a few others that passed the test on Saturday, Sunday. Well, you took tests on Saturday and Sunday, but either way, you passed the test and accomplished your goal, as well as Joe and some others. So, good deal.
Well, once Bobby gets his FCC ID number, what should he then do?
I don't understand where you're going with that.
Should he send an email to gary@NGGMRS.org?
He probably should, yeah.
With his new FCC call sign. And Bobby, while you're at it, go ahead and send Joe's, because we know he's not going to do it.
And you might even have consecutive numbers. You guys passed the test at the same time. All right, Bobby, did you have anything else? You know, you can participate. That's why we gave you a microphone.
That wraps it up for this evening, but you guys are getting an occasional dropout there. You're losing bandwidth big time tonight. And want to let you know on that one, because everybody on flagship is coming through no problem, but I can see you guys are right into the links, and you're getting crispy critters and losing bandwidth every now and then. But no, that's about it, and it was good seeing everybody there at Vanguard this past weekend, and we had a great time. Hope to do it again.
All right, Bobby. Well, thanks for that. And yeah, we are seeing some bandwidth issues here, so we'll have to see how it progresses. Thanks for letting us know. Next on my list is Atlanta 667, Anders in Ackworth. Anders, did you have any questions or comments for the net or anything with regard to Part 90 radios?
I guess we need to set up an RF path and back up. I wonder if it's just this time of night. Like, are we catching the satellites in transition or something?
I don't know. Atlanta 667, Anders in Ackworth. Did you have any questions or comments for the net? Any remarks regarding Part 90 radios? All right, hearing nothing from Anders, we're going to continue on with Atlanta 454. Stephen in Lilburn is in and out, and we also have Dallas 64. Josh in Dallas. Josh, did you have any questions or comments for the net? Anything with regard to Part 90 radios? Dropping like flies. We passed 9 o'clock. This happens. All right, past Josh's bedtime, I think. Dallas 64, we're going to go ahead and show him as in and out and keep moving. We have Atlanta 880. Dale in Norcross was in and out. We have Chattanooga 30. Jonathan in Hickson is in and out. We have Atlanta 532. Tom in Flowery Branch is in and out. We have Dallas 20. David in southwest Paulding County. David, did you have any questions or comments for the net?
Good evening, everyone. No, I just want to echo what you've been saying about the commercial radios, about the
Do they
cheap
play
Chinese
commercials?
flashlights that also pretend to be a radio are disposable. But the commercial radios just sound better. They're higher quality. The RF emissions are true to band, and you do get what you pay for. Although I know some of these other so-called radios or Chinese radios can get expensive. You can pick up one of these commercial grade radios at a same price or cheaper. So just wanted to kind of echo that, and like we said before, do your homework when you're going to do something like that. Make sure you're looking up the correct FCC ID numbers for them, because VHF and UHF radios, Kenwoods, Motorola's, a lot of the other ones, they look identical. So you want to make sure you're buying the right one. And even the person selling it to you may not know the difference. They may just have a table of radios.
Well, that's an interesting point, and yeah, definitely something to be concerned with. And so not only do you run the risk of a radio being password locked when you buy it from someone other than face-to-face, or even face-to-face in some cases, there's also, you got to do some homework here, because, like, for instance, the beloved Kenwood TK880 comes in several different flavors. And one of those versions,
chocolate?
Yes. Well, no, it's not. That's the good one. The one that only goes from 430 to 450. That's the one that you don't want.
Okay. Vanilla.
That radio will not work in GMRS, even though it's got the right look. It's sleek and it's small, and it's a good looking little radio. But it just can't perform at 460 megahertz. So you need, and I can't remember if it's Type 2 and the Type 3, or you need the one that's 450 to 470 or 450 to 490.
You got 3 choices, but only 2 of them work.
That's right. So you do need to be knowledgeable and aware of that. And I think Kenwood is the only brand that breaks up the UHF band like that. I think most of the other commercial radios, if it's a UHF 400 radio, it's going to work in the GMRS band. But these are just things that you need to be aware of when you're buying a used radio. But if you're buying a radio from Atlanta 60, then you know that radio has been bench tested and programmed for use on our network. So, all right, David, did you have anything else?
No, sir, not that I can think of, but always keep searching for good deals for radios, and another thing, too, is, ask the question on Facebook. Hey, I'm looking for a Kenwood. Does anyone have one you're wanting to sell? Because there's quite a few of us out here that may have a couple of extras they're willing to get rid of. So if you're looking into, getting into that field, by all means, ask on Facebook. So just wanted to throw it out there. All right, guys, have a good night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Well, that's a very good point. And, our former member, I believe that was Atlanta 442, Craig, he had life circumstances come up and he had to move to Illinois. And although he has found a GMRS community out there, it's nothing like what we have here. And his collection of radios was something that he's just not making use of these days. And so he offered them for sale to members of our network, because this is kind of where he grew up in GMRS life, and so wanted to give back to the community. And I believe the radios that he's offered for sale have all been sold. But, a trusted member of the network, and, that's another great way to buy radios. So helped him out, and helps our membership out, just taking on those radios that were already programmed for the network. And I think he's keeping what he has left at this point, because he does still have some GMRS activity in his area, but he only has one vehicle he's concerned with, as opposed to, a portable for the bike and a mobile for the truck. And I don't think he has anything that he can use from home. So I don't think he has any coverage there. So in any case, definitely do your homework when you're looking for a Part 90 radio. You're not buying it from a dealer where you can just return it if you're unhappy with it. But if you do want to buy a Part 90 radio from a dealer, where should somebody go?
They should get in their car and drive to Chat Radio this weekend for their open house. And it's my understanding it comes with a free lunch.
A free lunch. And, North Georgia GMRS members have been treated pretty well by Chat Radio. Good pricing. He's very competitive in his pricing. And I think, if you found a better deal someplace else and showed it to him, he'd most likely match it.
Well, he's also not going to sell you something that's not going to work or you don't need either.
Well, and that's another good point, because we've had conversations with Jim at Chat Radio, and he understands what we expect radios to be for use on our network. And he understands that you can't just take an amateur radio and cut a resistor out of it and make it work for GMRS. That's not going to fly here. So he's not going to do that for you. He's going to instead present to you a radio that you can use on this network, whether it's a Part 95 radio or a Part 90 radio. He'll make sure, if you tell him that you want it for North Georgia GMRS Network, he'll make sure it's a radio that's already been approved by the network and can be used on this network. We're aware of other retailers that maybe don't do that very well. So highly encourage anybody that's looking for a radio and thinking of buying something brand new. If you're looking for a radio dealer to buy from Chat Radio. And if you go up there this weekend, you can get free lunch.
That's the best part.
Yeah. Well, do you have any idea what's on the menu?
I don't.
Yeah, I don't either. I would love to be able to go up there, but we have a family trip planned, and so we just have scheduling conflict. But definitely encourage you to go up there and meet Jim and Christy and hang out, check out their brand new store, and go do that. All right, next on the list, I have Dallas 21 Lisa in Southwest Baldwin County is in and out. I have Atlanta 519 Gary in Marietta, also in and out. I have Atlanta 694 Michael in Holly Springs is in and out. I have Atlanta 240 Patrick in Duluth is in and out. It was great to meet you this weekend, Patrick. It's good to have a face to put with that TAC number. So good stuff. I was going to mention a name and I can't remember what it is. Patrick, If you're listening, come on and tell me what her name is. He's not listening. All right. It must be past his bedtime. Patrick has dropped off of the air, so we're going to go ahead and move on to Gainesville 23, Bob in Auburn. Bob, do you have any questions or comments about Part 90 radios?
Good evening, Justin, Jeff, Julie, Kate. Good to see you all this past weekend again. No questions, just a warning. Be careful when you buy your first Kenwood because they will multiply.
They're like rabbits.
That is funny, and yeah, you definitely don't want to put them in the same drawer. If you put too many portables in the same drawer, you can have a problem there. But Houston, Atlanta 780 once told a joke. We had gathered at a restaurant for a luncheon back when such gatherings would draw maybe only a couple of dozen people, and at the end of lunch, Houston called me over to his truck and out there in a parking lot, and he, with the most serious look on his face, he told me that he had left his radio sitting on the seat of his truck, and while they were in there eating lunch, somebody broke in and left another one. So, that is, you're going to love the Kenwood radio. And it's just a whole different radio experience. The audio fidelity is markedly different. And when you can hear signals clearly that were challenging to hear before, you'll notice that, and you'll probably end up buying more. How many do you have, Bob? He doesn't know.
Oh, brother, I don't know if I really want to say this out loud, but the number's over 30.
Oh, my golly.
Wow.
Well, we didn't ask him how many channels were in his radio.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't interested in that. I was just kind of curious as to how many you had, but apparently he's not willing to convey that at this time. It's funny because a couple of years ago we had a net, and we're talking about how radios tend to proliferate. You end up with so many, and so because I knew the conversation was coming up, I went ahead and kind of went through our inventory of radios at that time. And, our HF radio, Julie bought that radio. That's her radio. The base station radio that we were using for net control, Gary gave her that radio. That's her radio. And we went through, the radio in the Jeep was
Julie's radio.
She bought that radio. So going through all of these radios that we owned at the time, we came down to the one that I owned. The rest of them were technically hers. So that was very funny. And she was a little bit surprised by that revelation that, hey, these are not Justin's radios. They're So that was a lot of fun. But good stuff, Bob. And I hear you. I don't have a number in mind for what we have at this time either. I have a lot more portables than I can carry. The trouble is you buy a portable.
Is that why you leave them in the porter, John? Because you got too many to carry?
That one was not supposed to be left behind, but maybe that's the habit that came from the B-Tech radios. Given/lost several of those radios away, but I don't buy those radios anymore because they need to go away. It's a great radio to start out with. I don't want to diminish that. And if that's what it takes to get somebody engaged or involved in the hobby, then absolutely buy that radio, because you can buy these radios. Now, if you're buying a $300 Bofang radio, I have to ask you to step back and think about this for a minute. But when you can buy a decent radio for under $100, that's going to get you on the air and it's going to perform reasonably well, has the features that we want, has the capabilities that we're looking for, can be programmed from the face, how do you go wrong with that? And when you do upgrade to a better radio in time, you have something you can hand off to someone, and they can make use of and maybe become engaged in the hobby. So it's a win-win as far as I'm concerned when someone buys these inexpensive radios. It's not the last radio they're going to buy, unless they just don't have any interest in radio at all and they fade off into the sunset. But generally speaking, you're going to end up with an improved radio at some point. So good stuff, Bob. Thank you for your comment, and thank you for that inventory list. It's good to know how many channels your radio has. Atlanta 557, Ed in Kennesaw is in and out. And once again, Cades Cove 83, Bill in Rockwood was relayed in by Candace. Appreciate that, Candace. We have Columbus 40, John in Phoenix City. John, do you have any questions or comments about Part 90 radios?
Good talking to you again, Justin, and hello to everyone on the net. I think one of the things, I was listening the other afternoon or something hidden when someone was asking about some of the radios and hooking it up to a cigarette lighter adapter, and was concerned about blowing the fuse. And one thing that kind of hit me here is most of the commercial radios have 2 to 3 settings for power. I like VoIP. I'm a big icon person. I can set mine at 40 watts. I can set mine at 20 watts, and I can also set it at 5. And you can also set one of your P1 through 4 or your A, C, and D buttons on the radio, depending on the model radio that you have. And you can set those to where you can toggle between your power levels. So I just wanted to throw that out there to let people know that if you are going to be running a cigarette lighter, take it down to 20 watts or even 5 most of the time in UHF. If you're traveling car to car, 5 watts is probably plenty enough for you.
Well, that's a great point. And yeah, cigarette lighter plugs often are limited to about 10 amps.
Yeah, do not just put a bigger fuse in it.
Right, because that leads to
other problems. 40 amp fuse guy. So yeah, don't do that. If you're in a situation where you're trying to power a radio out of the cigarette lighter plug, definitely run the appropriate level of power so that you're not challenging that fuse circuit. And as John points out, many radios have different power settings that you can select. So you might think about turning that power down, especially if you're not trying to reach out to a repeater way off in the distance. In many cases, your driving range, the area that you drive in, is close enough to a repeater that you can operate at lower power. Let me break. And certainly if you're operating simplex from one vehicle to another, probably you're staying within sight of one another. And truly line of sight is all you need in UHF radio. So if you can see that vehicle, you should be able to talk to that vehicle at 2 watts or 5 watts or any low power setting. So something to consider if you're going to use any of those radios that come with a cigarette lighter plug option. That cigarette lighter plug may not support much more than 20 watts. And not only that, but the noise factor that can sometimes get introduced into the radio from using the cigarette lighter plug. But obviously, first and foremost, safety is a concern. So if the radio's blowing the fuse, do not just put a bigger fuse in there, because you're going to have a thermal event in the dashboard. I promise.
Well, and that is a solid safety consideration. And Jeff, why are we concerned with noise? Why do you say that?
So by running off the cigarette lighter plug, sometimes there's a bunch of telemetry and transmitting devices in the dash, which is typically where your cigarette lighter plug is. And that's typically tied into all the same circuits because it's tied off of the courtesy circuits in the vehicle. So the radio, the cigarette lighter plugs, and those kinds of things typically don't shut off until you open the door. So all of those circuits are tied together. So modern vehicles have GPS and satellite radios and AM/FM radios and all kinds of other RF demons right next to that cigarette lighter plug where you're trying to plug in the radio and get a nice clean signal into the repeater. So there's multiple reasons why that is not the preferred method, but obviously there is occasions where it's necessary. If you're in a rental vehicle or something of that nature, you're going to want to just plug it in and go.
All right. And that's not even mentioning all the serial data that gets passed around the vehicle over, superimposed on the DC. So your OBD2 bus underneath the dash is got serial data noise on it, and all sorts and manner of wiring within your dash, and even throughout the car can be carrying some of that serial data from the car's computer. I hate to even think what kind of RF noise structure Julie's car has with all the gadgets and gizmos and lane detection and the adaptive cruise control, and that thing's got some sort of a radar emitter on it.
Well, most modern vehicles have about 10 different networks in the vehicle.
10
networks, not computers. 10 different networks.
So there's all manner of RF noise floating around in modern cars and trucks. So, and your cigarette lighter plug may be subject to some of that noise. And that's one of the reasons when we talk about installing a mobile in a vehicle, we talk about going, positive lead and your negative lead all the way back to the battery. Don't try to ground to the chassis. Go all the way back to the battery. And a big part of that is about noise abatement. Avoiding tapping into a circuit that will introduce noise into your radio. So if you're using a cigarette lighter plug and you have good clean audio when you transmit, that's good. But you might not.
Yeah. Let's break.
Well, that's a great point, John. I'm glad you brought that up. Did you have anything else for the network?
Say it was good to hear everybody tonight. I don't, due to work obligations, I don't always get a chance to join the network, but in many cases I'm listening. And it's real good hearing everybody, and just wanted to wish everybody, if I don't get on next week, a good Thanksgiving. I know we've got a lot coming up, and I'll just say that for the whole network itself. And I'll turn it back to you, Justin.
All right, John. Well, it's great to hear from you tonight, and look forward to the next opportunity we have to hang out on the air. So good stuff. Next, we have Dallas 74. William in Dallas is in with us this evening. William, did you have any questions or comments for the net? He gone. All right, we're going to show William as in and out and keep right on moving. Next, we have a guest check-in tonight. We had WRZH857 Robert in Columbus. Robert, did you have any questions or comments for the net? Do you have any interest in a Part 90 radio?
Oh, now I've done it.
Oh, man. Broke it.
I broke it.
All right. We're going to show Robert as in and out as well. And we're going to keep right on trucking. We have Atlanta 658 McKay incoming. McKay, did you have any questions or comments for the net?
No questions. This is WRZ A432. Just thankful to be listening to you all, and keep it up. I am out.
All right. I appreciate you listening in tonight, and keep it up we shall. So with that in mind, this is the end of the roster. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and take another round of late check-ins. And if anybody has any questions or comments, the floor is open. Net Control standing by.
This is WRZ
WRYV 520.
Atlanta 420, WRSS 771. William in Roswell. Checking in.
I didn't hear the one that William doubled with.
This is.
Here he comes again.
This is Atlanta 261,
Nope.
WRCT 399, Scott from Holly Springs. If you don't mind, gentlemen, check me in and check me out. Thank you so
Chattanooga
much.
84 was somewhere in that pileup. I recognized the voice.
Okay.
This is Chat 196, WRYV 520, Kendall, Cleveland, Tennessee.
WRKK 69, Chattanooga 84, in Hickson, Tennessee. Good evening, gentlemen.
Yep, there he is. He's who we were talking with last night, wasn't he?
So, Loomis says us and Flagship sound exactly the same. Popping, crackling, packet loss.
All right, let's plan on Fort Mountain for next week.
I'm wondering if it's... This time of night is when we always have problems.
Gainesville 285, WRKN 234, C. Charlie V. Victor Smith in Murrayville, Georgia. Check me in and out, and a way of relay, Gainesville 286, Lynn in Murrayville, Georgia, in and out also. Heard most of the net, and appreciate it.
This is WRQD 424, Chattanooga 60. Check me in and check me out, please.
We just got a new member. All right, let me go ahead and acknowledge what we have. We have Atlanta 420 William in Roswell is in tonight. Atlanta 261 Scott in Holly Springs is in and out. Chattanooga 84 Jim in Hickson is in tonight. Chattanooga 196 Kendall in Cleveland is in tonight. Gainesville 285 CV Smith in Murrayville is in and out, as well as Gainesville 286 Lynn, also in Murrayville, is in and out. And finally I have Chattanooga 60 Jason in Hickson in and out. Let's go ahead to the top of this list. We have Atlanta 420 William in Holly Springs. William is in tonight. William, did you have any comments about Part 90 radios?
Were you asking for William Atlanta 420 in Roswell? Over.
Yeah, you mixed up his location.
Where did I say it was?
Holly Springs.
All right. Well, I expected you to be in Holly Springs by now, but if you're still in Roswell, then that'll be okay.
Yes, I was mobile and listening earlier and was very much enjoying the net. I have the answers here, but I wanted you guys to help clarify this. On Part 90 UHF radios, who is the usual buyers for those? With the Part 90 radios, what is the price point for a brand new Part 90 UHF radio? And what is the price point for like an old new stock radio compared to a new one? And one disadvantage that I only see with a Part 90 radio is its ability to which means if you need a tone while traveling,
A Part 95 radio allows you to put that in there, but you can't have a faceplate on the Part 90 radio, is that correct? So that you can program a tone in on the flyer. I'll leave that back to you there, gentlemen.
That's not true. You can program tones from a Part 90 radio if you program the buttons correctly. Just says you cannot change frequencies from the face.
Well, go ahead and answer it.
What was the rest of it that he was rambling on about?
Who knows? Price point on radios.
And who were the original buyers?
Oh, I don't know. Well, William, you kind of threw a bunch at us there. Is my foot switch? Nope.
You need some help holding the foot pedal down?
I was holding it down, but I don't know if I get a loose connection to my pedal. But anyways,
I don't think the connection's in the pedal.
Yeah, a loose connection between the seat and the microphone.
Yeah, that's more like it.
William, you threw a lot of questions at us there. As far as the pricing and the original buyers, I mean, that could be anywhere from any number of commercial service companies to what they sell them for at auction. I mean, the prices are all over the place on used Part 90 stuff.
Yeah, and new old stock is getting really, really hard to find.
Right.
Good luck with that. But as far as, okay, so let's answer the question in the simplest terms. If you're going to eBay to buy an old Part 90 radio, what are you going to spend?
Anywhere from zero to who knows.
So, but I mean, realistically, we can typically find the radios that we use for $100, $150 in that range. You might spend a little bit more. You might find one for a little bit less, but in that range is pretty typical for used Part 90 radios, on the market.
For a K model, yeah. For an H model, you're probably going to be closer to 200.
That's right,
roughly.
And those prices they're creeping upwards.
Yeah.
Primarily because those radios are fading from availability. So you have to consider a couple of things. And the commercial radio market changed, 10, 15 years ago okay, so if we back up about 10 years or so ago, the FCC pushed the commercial radio market
into narrow band.
And that came with the promise that soon they would be pushed to very narrow band. And probably the very narrow band is here now. If commercial radio users are still using narrow band, they may be within a grace period, but if you take a look around at what's available in the commercial radio market for analog radios, how many radios are out there in that market?
Very few.
I don't think there are any.
I mean, you can get a mixed mode radio, but you're not going to get an analog only radio.
That's right. So with that in mind, that class of radio is going by the way of the dinosaur. The trouble is that these commercial radios will last for 30 years or more and perform very, very well at 30 years as they did at year one. These are very high quality radios. They're meant to be put into trucks and buses and police cars and ambulances and service vans. It's a commercial radio for business applications. And if you need to talk to your employees out in the field, what are those employees probably doing? They're hauling stuff, they're building stuff, they're breaking stuff.
Dropping radios.
Yeah, so that's part of why these radios are so rugged. But in terms of new old stock, man, that's a tough one. And even Part 90 radios that we can buy today that will still support, a new radio that will still support analog audio in GMRS frequencies, there's not a lot of choices out there as compared to what there was 10 years ago. And that's going to get narrower and narrower as time goes on. So that was one of William's questions, was talking about price point. I can't remember what all he babbled about. What do you remember anymore?
There was something to the effect of CTCSS tones and being able to change tones on the fly, which with these commercial radios, it depends on how you program the buttons on the face and what you have them or ask them to do. I mean, you can certainly program a button to change the tone on that particular channel that's programmed in. It just says that we are not allowed to change the frequencies from the face.
So if you have a channel programmed into your radio, you can use the ABCD button, or they're labeled differently on different brands of radios, but you can use those buttons, if they're programmed properly, to go from a given tone to a different tone without changing channels or frequencies.
Right. For example, like Flagship and Columbus are the same frequency split, but they require different tones. You could program a button to change the tone from the Flagship tone to the Columbus tone without actually having to change channels. So that can be done with Part 90 radios, depending on the model and how you program the buttons.
But if you're driving along and you realize that you can hear a repeater that you weren't really planning on, with a Part 95 radio, you can scan for and you can find the CTCSS tone, but you're not going to be able to scan for the tone on a Kenwood. Or am I mistaken?
Probably not on a Kenwood, but some of the other DMR type mixed mode radios, I'm sure you could, but not the older tried and true commercial Part 90 analog only radios, no.
So that is one of the limitations that I think that William is trying to point out.
But, I mean, not for nothing, you really shouldn't be doing that while you're driving down the interstate anyways, unless you're a passenger.
Well, that is another consideration. I generally, if I hear traffic while I'm traveling, like for instance, when I'm at my brother's place in St. Augustine, Florida, Jacksonville, they've got a couple of repeaters now, but back then they had one monster repeater, and I would hear traffic on that all the time, but I didn't necessarily ever want to engage in that traffic. It was just cool to listen to it. So I never programmed any of my radios for that PL on that repeater. I never even looked it up to see what it was. So, but I probably easily could have. But I guess, that's me, and other people might want to join in on that conversation.
I think that covers everything.
All right, William, what did we leave out?
Pretty good in there. I think the point I was trying to make with the price point was that those Part 90 UHF radios were originally very, very expensive. Sometimes $400 on up, even for handhelds or the ones installed in vehicles. And the advantages there was definitely durability. And if you've got a handheld radio that can be programmed with 250 channels, you're correct. With the UHF, with GMRS, you could program just about every frequency combination ahead of time, so you won't run into that problem. So it's a durability compared to a 95 radio. You might be better off even with an older Part 90 radio that's been programmed properly ahead of time there. Over.
Well, I guess that's an interesting point too. And some of these commercial radios today, these Motorola DMR P95 public service radios can cost many thousands of dollars for a portable radio. So those radios, when they get to the end of their commercial service, I don't know how they'll be sold off. My guess is in some part or way, they'll be auctioned off to other bidders and they'll find a way to reallocate or reprogram these radios for service for small business to buy these P95 radios or P25 radios and be able to utilize some of that capability, maybe not all of it. But I'm just not sure. But I do know that some of these new radios are crazy expensive. I think the radios that the Woodstock Fire Department, the portables that those guys are carrying around are like a $5,000 or $6,000 Motorola. That's a crazy expensive radio.
And even just the hand mics that go with them are stupid expensive just for the microphone if they get broken. Never mind the portable radio itself.
So what'll happen with those when the department upgrades its radios in 5 years, 10 years, whatever that time frame? I don't know. Traditionally, they end up in a market at auction, and they'll find life in another service somewhere.
Or maybe like a volunteer department, and they'll donate them, kind of thing.
Yeah, perhaps to other communities and things like that. All right. Well, thank you for that, William. And with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to Mr. Scott, Atlanta 261. Scott in Holly Springs, not on his way to Roswell. Scott is in and out with us this evening. We have Chattanooga 84. Jim in Hickson is in tonight. Jim, do you have any comments for the net?
Oh, good evening, guys. Yeah, I'm using the Part 90 radios, and I had Ronnie pick me one up because I couldn't make it to the ham test from Gary. I've got this AT now. I got to find a tag that'll beep, so when I misplace it, I can find it. They're good radios and programming, but I mean they sound good. That's the thing I like about it. They sound good, but I'm haven't heard that. I've missed early part of it. Don't hear much about Motorola, and maybe it's because getting them programmed is the problem, because they have a lot of the other Part 90 radios, and I'm not sure if there's a third brand. You guys have done better than the rest of us, so I think that's all I got. Thank you guys for doing that.
Well, good deal, Jim. I'm glad you're able to get a radio by proxy through Ronnie at the Stone Mountain Ham Fest, and glad that you're happy with it. And yeah, there are lots of other brands of radios than the ones that we talked about tonight. Who was it that had that E.F. Johnson? Was that David?
Yeah, that was a neat little radio.
Yeah, and so I mean, there's a lot of different brands of commercial radios out there that might work in GMRS service, and. Excuse me, David found one of those radios and at the Ham Fest, and he took it home with him. Motorola is certainly one of those high-quality commercial brand radios. Many people steer away from Motorola because they can be challenging to program. But if you can find somebody who knows their way around programming a Motorola radio, then you shouldn't really have any hesitancy in acquiring one. And they can be very good radios. So I would want to make sure I knew somebody, or that I had the means myself to program the radio before I bought it. But I wouldn't say no to buying a Motorola radio. I just so happen to have a guy. So that's key, is to either be able to do it yourself or know somebody. Not all radios are as difficult or challenging to program as the Motorola. And in fact, some of the Kenwood radios can be programmed using Chirp. I couldn't tell you which ones, but I do know that there are some that can be programmed using Chirp. I don't know if Chirp supports ICOM or any of the other manufacturers.
It's probably going to be just like Kenwood, some models here and there, I would guess.
I would guess as well. So with that in mind, it all boils down to whenever you're going to buy a radio, whether you're buying a radio from Chat Radio, or you're buying a radio off of eBay, or you're buying a radio at a ham fest, you owe it to yourself to do a little bit of legwork and research the FCC ID number for that radio. Make sure that radio is a part accepted radio, either a Part 90 or a Part 95, or in some cases both. And make sure that you're buying a radio that's going to have a frequency range that's going to operate within GMRS, and that is basically 460 to 470. Most radios in that band are going to cover from 450 to 470 because that is the commercial spectrum in that part of that channelized band. But ultimately, buyer beware. But these are great opportunities to buy high-quality radios at oftentimes a lot less money than you're going to spend on a consumer-grade radio that is not built as well and doesn't sound as good and will not last as long. how many of these Wouxun radios do we hear of that are being returned because they burn up after a few weeks? I mean, we understand they have a great warranty and that they take good care of the customer, but if you're having to return a radio,
shouldn't have to use it that often.
Yeah, if the radios are being returned over and over again, it kind of makes you wonder.
Well, Mike, you're here in the studio. How much did you pay for your Wouxun?
I knew you were going to pick on me for that Wouxun. I've got a couple of them.
No, how much did you pay for it new?
Are you talking about the mobile?
Yeah.
I've got the KG 1000G Plus, and I think it was it was $329 or $369.
And what'd you pay for the Anytone Part 90 mobile?
$399.
So for $70 more, roughly.
Yeah.
You got a lot more radio.
Absolutely.
But on the flip side, you could have dropped $100 less and got the Kenwood from Gary.
Which I ended up doing anyway.
Right.
Also.
So
I have a problem.
You know, I think kind of going back to what William was saying is folks get intimidated that the commercial radios are going to be a lot more expensive than the consumer grade radios when in most cases they're not.
They're actually typically a lot less. There are some things that you have to give up with the commercial radio. If you've got a Kenwood TK-880 and you want to be able to punch in a new PL tone every time you turn a corner, it's not going to be that easy to do unless you're carrying a laptop with you. But if you know where you're going to be going and you know what repeaters are in there, that thing's got like 250 memory slots. You can put that stuff in ahead of time and just be able to switch zones and get to that group of channels to be able to pull out the one that you want for that PL.
And I mean, let's be honest, for
split.
GMRS, there's only 8 repeater pairs. The only thing that's really changing is the tone.
That's right.
So for GMRS purposes, how many different combinations are there?
Well, when you look across all the different tones that are available, while there are a lot, typically you only see
a handful,
5, 6,
yeah.
7 of them actually in use.
Yeah.
140, 1.3, 150, 1.4, etc.
Yeah, D114 and that one.
All right, where are we at? Are we going back to Jim or are we moving on?
Let's go ahead and move on. We have Chattanooga 196 Kendall in Cleveland is in with us tonight. Kendall, did you have any comments or questions for the net?
Hi guys, this is my first time on. I'm new to all this, so I'm just trying to listen and learn. I did not catch the first part of the net because I wasn't in here yet, but I was just curious. You were talking about a radio that Gary sells or what, and you'd also mentioned Jim down at Chat Radio, and I looked. Looks like most all of his radios are out of stock right now, so I don't know. I guess he's had a run on sales or something with all these Hamfest or what, but just kind of curious for somebody that's new getting in. I live in Cleveland, work in Dalton. I've got a granddaughter that's up on Cotton Mountain, and we just try to want to get something where we can kind of communicate together and stuff, but I'd like to be able to, have something kind of long range too if I need it.
Well, if you're looking at the North Georgia GMRS website and you found radios for sale on that website and they show out of stock,
It's not even there.
it's not there anymore. All right. Well, those radios, that website hasn't been maintained in a long time, and Jeff says it's not even there anymore. So, North Georgia GMRS radios, if you want to know what's available, you pretty much need to talk to Gary personally to find out what's available and be able to make arrangements to pick that radio up at some point along the way. So that's a good source for used Part 90 radios. If you're looking at radios at Chat Radio, we just got back from Stone Mountain Hamfest, and I know that he sold out of a lot of stuff at the Hamfest. So there's a good chance that he'll have more inventory in because he's got a grand opening coming up on Saturday, and I'm certain that he's going to want to have some inventory for folks that show up at the grand opening.
Well, I'm also looking at his website. He's got a category specifically for GMRS radio that has the Midlands and stuff like that, so Part 95 only radios. So if you're looking in that category, I can see where you're seeing that a lot of stuff is sold out. But then if you go back, if you go back to the Part 90 sections or the commercial sections, you'll see a lot of Part 90 radios, which we're talking about this evening, that are for sale in different categories, not necessarily just the GMRS only drop down.
In Midland radios,
I don't even think he plans on carrying them anymore.
That's probably why they're out of stock,
Right.
because he's just not reordering them, and it hasn't been able to update the website. Midland radios that's a consumer radio. It's a Part 95 radio. It's okay in some applications, but Midland is so goofy in how they allow for programming, and they don't even make available all the various PL tones. So we have repeaters on our network that use tones that you cannot get on the repeater with a Midland radio. So I would suggest you steer clear of Midland unless there's some other reason why you need to have that radio. They're just not a good. I don't know that Midland is serious about GMRS. Why would you build a radio and then not provide for all the PL tones? And then they do this goofy cross-reference thing.
Lookup chart thing.
Yeah, so you can't just plug in the number. You have to use their code number that coincides with the PL tone. I hope that you'll find something other than Midland. I know we have a lot of Midland users out there, and most people are happy with their Midland, but that's a common complaint that I hear is that they can't use their radio on some of our repeaters. And these are PL tones that every radio manufacturer allows to be programmed into a channel, except for Midland. I don't understand that. But definitely, if you're able to stop in and visit with the folks at Chat Radio during their open house this weekend, I would encourage you to do that. And maybe you can ask Jim what's up with the Midland radios and hear it right from the horse's mouth.
I'm pretty sure that's what he told me at Stone Mountain, was he does not intend to carry them anymore.
Yeah, so look at the Part 90 radios that Chat Radio offers, and I think you'll find some offerings available there. And if
there is a whole nother section on the website for just commercial radios, so a lot of those are in stock.
And if you let Jim know that you're buying a radio for use on North Georgia GMRS Network, he'll make sure you have a radio that can work on the network and will be acceptable for use on the network. All right. Kendall, did you have any other questions?
Sorry, guys, not to drag this thing out or what, but because I have not done the research like I should have, I'm sure. But any tone, 578 UV3, is that considered a Part 90 or Part 95?
Kendall, the Anytone D578 UV3 is neither Part 90 or Part 95 certified. The Anytone D578 Pro, meaning professional, is Part 90 certified. The Pro meaning commercial specs. So if you have or are looking at the UV3, you will not find a Part 90 certification with that radio. The Pro model is actually indeed a little bit cheaper, and there is a video on the YouTube page for North Georgia GMRS that explains and shows literally in the FCC documentation exactly what I'm telling you for the Pro versus the UV3. So do a little bit of legwork, but again, if you're going to shop with somebody like Jim, he's going to be reputable and make sure you get what you need, and that Pro model is going to be the one you're after if you're after the mobile/base station version of those Anytones. They're great radios. I have 3 of them. Mike right here's got one. Justin at the other end of the bench has got a couple. So they are great commercial grade radios. You just got to make sure you get that Pro model.
I appreciate the help, guys. I'll keep listening, and maybe I'll remember to get on here next week and get some more information. I just, like I said, just new to all this, so this is the first check-in I've made. So appreciate y'all, all the information. Y'all have a great evening. WRYV 520 Chat 196. I'll be clear.
Did you lose your lap? Oh, I I saw dark screens. I thought the batteries died on you.
All right, Kendall. Well, thank you for hanging out with us this evening, and welcome to North Georgia GMRS. We're glad you checked in tonight. Next on the list, I have Gainesville 285. CV Smith in Murrayville is in and out. Also, I have Gainesville 286. Lynn in Murrayville is in and out. And our last check-in this evening is Chattanooga 60. Jason in Hickson in and out. I think that's going to do it for us this evening. So, Jeff, did you have anything you want to add before we close?
I don't think I have anything to add. I think we about covered it. And again, just a reminder for folks, especially like Kendall and maybe didn't catch the beginning of the net, there are several YouTube videos on our page regarding how to tell if your radio is Part 90. And Kendall, if you're still listening, there's also a couple videos on the YouTube page that I did about the Anytone mobiles and the handheld. So
how does somebody find that YouTube channel?
If you go to YouTube and search for North Georgia GMRS, the big green marble will come right up, and that's our page. And then look through the playlist. There's some playlists for instructional videos and playlists for Anytone videos. So there's some good material on there if you want to catch up on your knowledge and do some homework right off our network's YouTube page.
There you go. And while you're there, be sure to like and subscribe. And while you're watching those videos, feel free to throw a comment or two in. That shows YouTube engagement with the video and helps in search results so that other people will find our page and view our material. We're hoping to grow our YouTube channel into a credible source of good GMRS-related information.
You got somebody at the Tiki Bar waiting to check in. You're going to get yourself in trouble if you don't let off that foot switch.
I'm not on the foot switch.
I'm just saying.
All right, let's see if we have one more check-in from the Tiki Bar.
QYR 514, Atlanta 948. This is Jordan, checking from the Tiki Bar.
That sounded a lot like Atlanta 948. Jordan checking in from the Tiki Bar. Man, I hope you're not AWOL.
As far as anyone who's asking would be concerned.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid you would say. So you've escaped and you're hanging out for the weekend. Is that the case?
Is exactly right. I'll be heading back home Monday afternoon.
Well, your timing is perfect because we are heading out first thing in the morning. So enjoy the time at the Tiki Bar and have 947 show you where the alcohol is hidden because it's not on the shelf behind the bar anymore.
Already been covered. Y'all know well.
Didn't take him long to figure that out.
Yeah, sure didn't take him long to figure that out. All right, well, Jordan, I'll be leaving here in a little bit and looking forward to seeing you for a little while before things kick off in the morning. I know if I don't see you tonight, you'll be sound asleep when we leave tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to catching up with you here in just a little while. All right, did you have anything you want to add? Do you have any questions about Part 90 radios?
Have absolutely no input about Part 90 radios at this time.
I think if you asked him about jumping out of airplanes or something like that, he'd have input, but not about a Part 90 radio.
Yeah, that whole jumping out of airplanes thing. You know, I guess that's my fault because we actually paid to have someone push him out of an airplane once.
Yeah, now he jumps out of perfectly good ones.
Yeah, for free. All right. Well, I think we're going to try to wrap this thing up. Did we have anything else to cover?
I think we got it.
All right. Then at this time, this concludes the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net. We had a total of, holy cow,
68
check-ins this evening, including myself and Mike and Jeff. Thank you for allowing us to serve as your net control this evening. Good night, everyone. This is Atlanta 946 WQIR 514. My name is Justin.
This is WRWM 344 Blue Ridge 63. My name is Mike.
What a great radio announcer voice.
And Atlanta 750 WRMR 367. My name is Jeff, and we are clear. Good night, everyone.
This guy's going to take our jobs. Good night, everyone. We're clear.